Hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 104 of FinalBossTV, your WoW game rating show. Today, of course, is the BlizzCon 2015 wrap-up special things. But, you know, I was actually thinking... I'm gonna kill the music right now, actually. I'm gonna kill the music. I was actually thinking about this, that there really doesn't need to be any talk about BlizzCon, because you guys, like, you know, got all of it already. So, actually, we're gonna talk about Fallout 4 today for about 4 hours. And, you know, we're gonna talk about, you know, the new crafting stuff and the new garrison stuff in Fallout 4. I think that's a pretty good idea, right? Probably better than the Warlords ones we have, right?
Meat.
I think it's... Pardon?
Dog meat forever. Dog meat and power armor.
Ooh,
That's
yes.
where you should go.
Hey!
Exactly.
Whoa! I came here to get away from Fallout. Let's keep it on topic, boys. Legion.
Are you okay, Preach? Are you? We have Preach down.
We're okay.
Can you do that again, please? I missed it. Go do it again, please.
Fallout. Good game.
Literally in person Fallout.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, while he composes himself, hi Nobbel. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah, my voice is still a little bit shot, but all ready, man.
Oh my goodness. You ready to answer lore questions and things? Actually, no. You're answering the class questions today, right?
Oh God, no. No.
You're talking about raids
I'll stick to the lore.
and challenge modes and class balance.
Oh, puppy. Sorry, puppy in the screen.
Fallout.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and there's Preach. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi, you have the puppy with you. Oh, puppy.
Actually, the impact upset my dog.
Oh,
No.
we're worried about your well-being.
Indeed. Good dog.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So you're talking about lore today, right, Preach? You're talking about lore?
Absolutely. Artifact weapons. Mage spoons. I got it. I've got my notes. I'm
Not
ready to go.
again. I just hear the crowd going, not again, not again. The
Fire
horror.
mage frying pans. I know all about them.
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome back, both of you at the same time. I don't think have I had both of you on the same show at the same time by yourselves?
Nope.
No.
This is, I don't know how I'm going to control this. I might just, like, let it happen. I'm just, like, step away from the microphone and just, like, sit back here and be like, is the show going all right?
I'll just let Preach talk for 2 hours, to be honest. I'm
It's just
perfectly
gonna be
fine.
a war.
Oh!
And just do my
It's
own
gonna
show
be a war
later
over
on.
teleporting paladins, and robot chickens. It makes no sense, goddammit.
No, it makes
Or
total sense.
Doombringer,
You
right?
like it.
Doombringer.
Well, I'm ready for Doombringer. I'm totally okay with this.
Doombringers.
That's totally fine. I like it. Well, all right, boys. I'll bring us up to the starting stuff here. I want to talk about what you guys thought of BlizzCon 2015 and the hype train involved with such. Preach, you went last year to BlizzCon in person.
I did.
And this
Me
is...
and Ghosty were there last year.
Yes, I did. I can call you both, and I know you both in real life now. That's weird.
Yeah, that's true. So we have met. We have touched faces, which is always nice.
But, well...
It's that special connection we can only hope for on the internet.
Oh,
Did you take pictures?
I don't think so.
I don't think we took
Because we
pictures.
met on the outside.
Right.
Yeah, we met, like, we were off to the side somewhere. I
There's
can't remember where we
no
met.
proof that we touched faces, sadly.
No,
But it happened. You know it happened. and I know it happened.
I know what happened.
Oh, yeah. We were there.
We were there. And then Nobbel went this year to BlizzCon.
Yep.
So, yeah, what's the difference in opinions? Like, you know, is there a difference in, like, not going this year, Preacher, versus going, like, last year was a little bit more subdued than this year's with Legion, obviously. So, like, what's the difference, you think, in being there and
From
not being there?
an actual being there perspective, it was better for me from work-wise, because I could make videos, which was nice. But at the same time, I was looking at all the pictures thinking, this sucks. I should really be there. So it was making me really sad. But I had a kid, so I couldn't go. It wasn't a choice that, like, I decided I wasn't going for any reason. I couldn't physically go. It was impossible. But I did get a little bit sad. I would rather have been there than stayed home working. That's for sure.
But you were honestly missed, though. We were standing like, Preacher should be here.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the same for us last year with you. It's like, why is he not here?
Yeah.
You know, when we were doing all the booths and stuff and meeting everybody. Because people were asking, is Nobbel here? I was like, nope.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Not many. Don't get excited.
Oh, okay.
Like 2 people, right? 2 people.
Yeah, I think it was Ghost actually.
Oh, well, that's that.
Well,
that
that's
means
all
Yeah,
a
that
it's
lot.
one of those
right
things
there.
where people go to meet everybody they like on the internet, and so to have people missing is sad.
It's true. Yeah.
But at the
no,
same time, I liked not being there for a WoW one. I think for work reasons. So
Yeah.
last year there was no WoW stuff. It was the WoD beta. Was it? I'm sure, Bay. It was the WoD beta last year.
it was because Warlords launched after BlizzCon last year. Technically.
Yeah, so it was just the WoD beta, which we'd already been playing for a while. So there was
Yeah.
nothing. It was just meeting fans, which was the best part. So that was cool.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So from like everything like the information overload you were dealing with because you made a video on every single freaking class preview. So like
Yeah,
you made.
it was hard. It made me so ill. I got con flu without going to the con.
Right.
I had to sit in this room because everything came out really late. So I was working till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and then
Yeah.
my son gets up at 6, and I was like, I'm so dead, and I got a worst cold ever. So I'm hoping I don't start coughing at some point in the show. But
I mean, I'm still coming off of mine, sir. So I'm totally here with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get me laughing too hard, it's done.
oh, it won't be
so-
me. I'm boring.
That's very true.
Watch out for that Nobbel guy.
Yeah,
You
no,
get-
he's something. So for going to the con for your first time, Nobbel, you just had your recap video recently. How was it from being there with all these crazy announcements going on from your perspective? Like, how was it like, are you still, do you know what happened, right? It's not a dream. You were there.
Yeah. Well, from what Preach just said was like really the information at the con. You're not gonna catch any of that. You're there to meet people, which is
Right.
an awesome experience. So when all the information hits, when I got home from a holiday, like I got home like 2 to 3 days ago, I kind of lost my days by now. But it's immediately dive back into it. You turn on the stream, you start reading up on it, and you start catching up on it, which was great. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world, man. I had the week of a lifetime. So many awesome people, from fans, content creators, to the developers. It was mind-blowing, to be honest. It was really, really cool.
It definitely. This is my 3rd in a row, and I did a little bit different at this one. Like I worked a different amount. Like I made like easier videos, but like I was in the same villa as Preach. Like I was editing at the hotel room until like 4, 3 in the morning to get these videos up the same night. And then I check my subscription feed after I'm posting a video, and like Preach is already posting crap. I'm like, all right, fine. You know, he's not even here.
For me, it was so great to be excited about WoW again. I mean, I've missed that for a while. And as soon as everything was coming out, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. We need to, this is terrible, and all those mix of emotions, but we need to talk about it. I need to nerd out about these things straight away. So it was tiring, but God, it was exciting at the same time.
I'm glad I got my holiday, though. Like, you both are sick. I got scot-free. Like, so happy about that.
Yeah, you're a butthead.
That's because you didn't meet enough people.
No, that's because I
didn't try hard
emptied.
enough.
I literally, one day when I met up with the fans, I emptied a bottle of hand sanitizer. Not even joking. Like, shake hands.
No, that's
scrub,
fine.
scrub,
It's
shake
not
hands,
rude.
scrub,
It's
scrub.
just there's so many people touching each other at the show that it's smart to do that.
Right. And so what were you thinking of the Legion announcement? Were you both like, because you had different perspective, because Nobbel was in the room when everything was like the cinematic came out and like the official stuff, and then they gave us the summer 2016, which is not a release date, but it's not a release date. So you get to feel that in the room, and then Preach is sitting at home getting sick.
Let me go first because you probably had a better experience than I did. But for the opening, are we talking about the opening ceremony?
Yeah.
Yeah, the opening ceremony was great until it got to WoW, and then I've never been so disappointed in my life.
Oh no!
Really?
Yeah, we had a stream going where we had a few thousand people who were watching the stream, and then we were talking about it as things were going on. And the Overwatch stuff was incredible, and Ghosty was losing his mind, like Tracer's joining Heroes of the Storm. All this stuff was coming out, and Mini Winston and all this. And the Overwatch stuff was really cool. And then, I mean, I'm not sure if this is true. This is how it perceived to me, okay? I'm not putting words in his mouth or projecting. This is how it seemed to me. They then wheeled Metzen out, who seemed like he didn't really know what the hell was going on in Legion at all, but had been given a bit of a script. Because he's the WoW guy.
Right.
And he was even saying, he's like, oh, and they're reminding me to tell you this. And basically what we got was the cinematic, which was pretty cool.
Right.
It was all right. It wasn't in my, it wasn't my favorite, but it was pretty decent. And then he went, and you can pre-order it. Goodbye. And just walked off the stage, and I was like, wow. And then on top of that, it was like the worst PR day Legion had ever, because all the websites had leaked that it was going to be like September at the max.
Oh,
which, of course, all the community read as definitely up to September. We're going to have Hellfire Citadel for like a year.
Yeah.
And the community was in a rage. An absolute rage. I was like, well, they're going to do something really cool in the opening ceremony because everyone's really annoyed at Legion already. And he came out and he went, there's the trailer. Buy it. Goodbye. I just walked off the stage. I was like, what? What the hell was that?
You're not wrong.
So,
You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's so for me. It was I was disappointed.
Well,
But then it got really good afterwards, so yeah, I was fine with that.
Well, from my experience sitting in the crowd, like besides the cameras sitting in front of me so I couldn't see anything, the moment that they showed the trailer, that was incredible for me. Like the whole variant speech, and when Sylvanas made her appearance on the ship, you should hear the crowd and they were like, "Yeah, Sylvanas!" That was really, really cool, and the hype was real. I caught a little bit of the whole September rage because a couple of people tweeted out, like, we gotta wait till September, gotta wait till September. And I was like, on the one hand, I can understand it, that people want their hands on new content, they want a new game in their hands. But on the other hand, I'm more on the team of, I'd rather wait and have a good game at launch than get something rushed out and be like, okay, this is not what I'm hoping for. And if you look at all the information that followed, like we didn't talk about the next panels, but all the information that followed afterwards, I'm like excited about all the things that they're gonna do. And I'd rather wait, I'd rather chill. If I'm not gonna be playing WoW for a half a year, then, you know, whatever, it's gonna happen anyways. And I could play other games like Overwatch or Heroes or Hearthstone, all the other IPs. So I'm more in the camp of I'm fine with waiting until we get like a good game. And then hopefully, of course, like I tweeted out about this yesterday, like or this morning, what all the things are happening. Yeah. And people are like, if they deliver. And I think that's the general mindset that Warlords left behind, that people are more hesitant about, is it all going to make it in? Is it all going to be great? And I agree with that. Wait for the beta, see what the game is actually going to be like, and then make your choices. So
yeah, this is the most pessimistic I've gone into any WoW expansion ever. But I think rightly so. I think we need to have that pessimism around us, because
a lot of people have that. Yeah, you actually could tell it from the crowd as well. Like people were really like, okay, just tell me what you got, and we'll see what's going to happen. A lot of
I think they're doing it right, which is probably a result of that. Which is what we know is vague at best in a lot of cases, where they're like, this isn't finished yet, so we're not really going to tell you all the details.
And that's the great thing, right? Yeah. Like Tally also mentioned
it's sad because I want to know.
Yeah, true, but they also mentioned that like what the information they presented, that's what they're planning to do in the game. But like we learned, like this is just plans and information. Everything's subject to change, and we'll see how the beta is going to go.
It's a huge period. I think it's I'm in the same boat with Preacher is right now, where I've said like I'm pessimistically optimistic because they have said so much to bring in Legion, and the systems they are showing us and talking us about, and all the things that are coming are like a totally new PvP system, the Transmog tab, the Tabard stuff, the new challenge mode dungeon stuff, all the class reworks, 2 new specs because of Demonhunter being added in, the whole artifact system. Like and for us, we're kind of jaded in this like, well, is Blizzard over-promising again? But they did go from Gamescom to shut up and just tell them everything at BlizzCon status this year, because they realized that they shouldn't just like tease us. They should be like, you're getting this, and this. They're in the game. So you get
They're
that.
not telling anything until it's finished. Nothing.
Right.
I mean, we saw the response. There was one panel, I know it's a little off topic, but they mentioned, maybe some point in the future we'll do a Karazhan 5-man. And I thought, I have to check MMO Champion, because I guarantee someone's on there saying, they're making a Karazhan 5-man.
Right.
This is exact reason that it has to be like, this is what we're doing because it's finished, and we'll tell you all about it. Yeah. If it's finished, we're going to tell you. If it's not finished, it's going to be very round the houses, kind of vague idea of what's going on, because we're not over-promising anything. And I knew as soon as they said that, people are going to jump all over them and then say, do you remember when they promised us a Karazhan 5-man? I mean, that'll be the conversation in a year. And then they didn't deliver. So they learned from their mistakes, which is probably why in the opening the opening ceremony, I should say, that they didn't go into details. I think they wanted that forum of a panel where they can go step by step by step and not try and squeeze it into 10 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I think they really have learned the point now to not dance studio us, which is like now like that's the term of the internet, right? Don't promise something that actually isn't like currently in your internal builds,
or even mention it,
or don't even talk about it.
Just don't mention it. Leave it alone and until it's finished, and then we'll talk about it.
Right.
But it's sad though. It's like a thin line that you're trying to walk on, because I can only assume that the developers are very hyped about the things that they want to do and they want to share it with the community, and then you gotta pull that back in case you make like false promises or people pick it up in a way that it's a promise instead of something that we're planning or working on. It's sad. Like
the community is about as bitter as it's ever been right now. So I don't blame them at all. I mean, everyone says, does it get worse or get better? And usually the answer to that is it's the same. Since vanilla till whatever, the community is the same. Some people are angry, some people are sad. But at the moment, it's really, there's so much vitriol in there that I don't blame them at all. Anything they say, somebody's jumping all over. And I mean, even the stuff about tri-spec that I read about, this is just ruining the game. I was like,
Oh god.
oh yeah, unsubscribe, tri-spec, ridiculous.
But it's so easy though. It's so easy to hate and thrive on that. But like I said, don't get overhyped. But also don't believe the hate train. Like Blizzard is not the evil company that tries to grab all your monies. They too want to bring a good game. And of course, Warlords dropped the ball in certain departments. Certain parts were good. Doesn't mean that Legion is going to fail from the start. I've read so many comments already like, oh, it's such a bad game already. Like, you don't even have the beta yet. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. But that's just that. I mean, we always have to say at this point, when we go forward with a lot of the detail stuff, is it's so subject to change that, you know, you have to take everything we say with a pinch of salt, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like the theme for this podcast as well. Like,
oh, yeah.
We're just talking about what we know right now, and everything can change.
We're going to have beta for a long time. This, honestly, depending on if they're going to shoot for that September period, like that August, September, which I'm fine with waiting longer for a much better game than we just dealt with Warlords, but like, we're going to have beta for a long time, and it might be their longest beta cycle ever, which I think is justified due to the fact of how many things are coming in the game.
What makes you say that, Bay? I'm curious. Because I thought the same thing about WoD, and I would never think they're going to have a really long beta again. Because you'll remember, because me and you were in the alpha.
Right.
And we were playing one day, because I bumped into you on your shaman at some point. And the next day it was in beta. And then very quickly we were moving on to release. I was like, whoa, this has gone so much quicker than I expected it to be.
The Warlords...
They said like coming weeks that we're going to get beta, right, at BlizzCon?
Right.
Yeah, I think
by the end of the month.
And if the release is set for September, then that's the beta period.
Well, it's not set for September. It's set for summer, is what they said.
Yeah, summer. Yeah, sorry, summer.
Right, summer. So, I mean, I hope it is. I mean, I touted that big time with World's Journey. I was like, this beta is going on for ages. Because we had the alpha for about 3 months, and all we had was one zone. For 3 months, we were testing Crossfire
just
Ridge.
test garrisons.
That
that's all
music still gives me chills.
Yeah, exactly. I'd leveled like so many times because I was testing stuff out. And then suddenly we had every zone, and it went straight into beta, and then they released everybody into it. So I hope they stick to it. I hope they stick to a really long beta where we can iron out some stuff.
I think so too. I think the shorter beta periods is what I'm saying is like they didn't have as many sweeping. Like, my biggest thing, I mean, that you and I probably agree on, Preach, is all the class changes are the largest ones they've done in many expansions from now. I don't think even Cataclysm was as much of a big deal. Like,
I know we've got it to talk about, but it was the most surprising thing that came out of BlizzCon for me.
Right. It's just like with the 2 new specs they're adding plus 34 of the originals.
Four new specs.
Well, I guess you could say 4. That's true.
Yeah. I'm
mixing 2 new from the Demonhunter, and then I guess you mean Outlaw, Rogue, and Survival Hunter, right?
Correct. Outlaw, brand new spec.
Yeah, brand new spec. So I hope they give it a lot of time for testing and iteration.
I can't wait. Because they did really well in WoD. Like, the class feedback I gave, nearly all of it got accepted and changed. So I'm really, that was an awesome period to be playing the game and just saying, this doesn't really work, this doesn't fit. I'm excited. I'm just so excited to try it. But pessimistic until that day.
Well, I don't want to drag too much long on this because we have a lot of questions to get to. So the show notes that I've put together right here, which the 2 nerds that I'm with here can see, are basically a back and forth amount of round tabling or square tabling, that's the thing I do on the show, about questions that you guys submitted. I had close to 60 emails come in, which is pretty amazing. So thank you all for helping me wrap up these notes. So I'm just going to go one at a time here and throw them at a guest. They're all color-coded, so you know what's coming next. But the first question, which is funny, you brought this up a little bit ago. This is to Preach. This is from Retsamad. I wanted to read that as like Rets are mad, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's Retsamad as well.
Right. So feelings about being allowed to have tri and quad spec.
Why didn't we get it originally? I don't understand what the only complaints I read about is it loses class immersion. I don't understand that. It saved you going to the city.
Right. That's
not class immersion for me. But I'm really happy for me, from my side, and probably for the people who follow me. I certainly think there are people who, when you're in the LFR or you're in a pug and people are like, can anybody tank? No one has the reason to say no anymore. And and maybe those guys will be a bit put off by it. I can sort of buy that. It's easy to say I can't tank or whatever. But it's such a quality of life change. I'm always happy with quality of life changes. Give it me.
Yeah, the follow-up to that question was that you think the implications are loosened to let you have more access and easier access to get all your class artifacts, because granted, if you're like a fire mage, you might want to really get Fellow Malorn, but now because you just have access to just Toggle to Frost and Arcane like all the time, then it's easier just to go and grind out your other artifacts. I assume they want you to get all of them.
I don't
for your
think
class,
it is.
right?
You know, I really don't think it is. They said it's got some sort of catch up, but they heavily indicated that it's going to take you so long to sort of cap your artifacts, like your main one, that it will take a really long time to bring the other two up to snuff. So I don't think that'll make it into the main game, by the way. There's a prediction. But right now, I don't think it's easy to catch up.
Sorry, the catch-up mechanic won't make it in, or...
the idea that it takes quite a long time to...
Oh, like that.
Yeah, they said you can keep it pretty close, is what they said. You can keep it pretty close, but that's never going to be good enough for most players. They want it, finished. So I don't think they're going to do that.
There's an interesting amount, because I didn't get like a directly straight answer from Lewis when I did my dev interview, because I was curious if like expansion comes out on a Tuesday and like by next Tuesday, can you have all your artifact hooks unlocked? It doesn't sound like you'll be able to, but it also doesn't sound like anything is gated in all the artifact power unlocking based on patches.
I don't think it's gated amount.
Relic slots are gated because you need to like have a new raid tier to get a new relic to put in your weapon, right? But like it doesn't sound like they're going to gate artifact unlocking, so you can kind of like go ham, egg, and cheese sandwich and get it all unlocked relatively quickly. They didn't say how long it might take, but
the implication was it's going to take you quite a long time to do your main.
I hope so. Yeah.
And there is a catch up for your off specs. But there is a quote, and I haven't got the source in front of me, but it's you'd have to invest a hell of a lot of time into the game to keep your off specs up to snuff along with your main one.
And as raiders,
that's where it stands right now.
I've heard the feedback from a raider, like I need to keep my characters up to snuff for the raiding. What do you guys feel about that? Like you now have to invest so much time to keep these artifacts going. Like, do you feel that's a problem for you?
What are we unlocking the artifacts? If it's something that's not
it's going to be with
deal,
PvP and damaging, and like basically as you go along the expansion, you will level up your weapon.
It depends if there's something game breaking in there, like a talent that is really important or clutch to that spec. We'd be guessing at this point, having not seen a full artifact tree,
right?
As to how important it would be. If you're just going to heal one fight because you're lacking a healer, it's probably not a big deal. But if you're someone who, let's say a mage, who needs to play fire on this one, frost on that one, then it could be a very big deal. So without the artifact tree, I'd hasten to guess.
Right.
It would be a pure guess in the air. But if there's something really clutch in there, then that could be a problem, and people will feel forced to go and do that.
Nope.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. We really need to know like how, because I still saw when they were talking about BlizzCon like this artifact power, which is just this arbitrary flat power level Dragon Ball Z number, which to me felt kind of like it's just a magical mystical number.
Yeah, is it not the resource? I thought that was what you spend. Aren't those the points?
Yeah, well, you don't spend them. Like, as you earn them, you can then put them in. Like, it takes, like, 800 points to put 1 of 4 in this talent. So once you have 2,400 points, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's 4 of forward, right? Like, you know what I mean? But then your artifact power would stay at, it's at 11,000. But it just
does that mean there's a potential for respecs there? See, this is the problem. We haven't got any details on this
thing.
Is it a case of you want all 3 to have artifact power?
Yeah.
I mean, if we can respec them, then that's no big deal at all. But we don't know. We
don't know.
These are the questions we want answers to. Can I respec it?
Yeah.
Or do I have to? Is that set in stone and I've unlocked that? That's that far? I don't know.
Right. So.
Oh, give me the game.
Yeah.
Give me the game.
Speaking of artifacts, let's do a question for Nobbel. This is from Vesica. Legion changes for Shadow Priests imply a connection to the old gods and the void. What do you hope this means lore-wise?
I hope that the Shadow Priests are going to get some massive lore love in Legion, and I think that they're planning on it. Like, right now, for the Shadow Priest lore, and a lot of people have asked this before, there isn't that much known. There's the whole Cult of Forgotten Shadows from the Forsaken side of things. But besides that, there isn't that much known, simply. And it seems that they've now made the decision that Shadow Priests draw from the void, from old god power. You're going to go insane. You got your artifact there. You're going to transform into this tentacle beast as you do your abilities. So I'm really hoping that we're getting more explanation as to how exactly you're drawing from the void. How exactly is that connected to the old gods? They mentioned Cho'Gall. Like, that's pretty much what's going to happen. We are going to be empowered by these ancient beasts. And how does that feel out if you are still fighting for the factions? Like, how are people treat you? How are you going to feel yourself? It's awesome.
Yeah. Preach, because you've played a bit of Priest, a little bit maybe. Follow-up question. What do you think this will do for priest stuff? I mean, this is mostly shadow priest stuff, but what do you think?
It raises a lot of questions in terms of how you can control insanity. It seems to me, I mean, we're working on the very foundations of the spec here. So the theme of it, to make it insane, because we're going insane, is that we will become insane and then we get this haste buff. Now, I'm hoping that this haste buff makes the class play it ludicrously quickly to the point where it feels insane. That's the idea they're going for, is it'll feel insane. But from what we know so far is you will just go insane and you don't have much control and able to pause that, which, as you know, from a guy who cares about his DPS, I don't always want to go insane at the wrong time. And can we cancel it? Can we control it? Can we do something with it? Is a big question because, as you know, we need to prioritize how we play. And if it just goes insane, do we have to stop DPS to stop going insane? Is that maybe a thing? Because nobody wants to do that. So the idea so far seems very cool. It seems very much like a demo warlock without any of the control to switch into meta, as the old demo lock.
But you do have a 2-minute cooldown, though, right? You do have a 2-minute cooldown that instantly fills up your insanity bar if you want it.
Yes, you have that, which will be great for the pull.
Right.
Which is, you know, fine, because that's always a big concern with the pull, because you'll be pre-potting, obviously, so you'll be pre-potting and vamping and
going insane and
then going, you'll dot up and then go straight into insanity. Right. But it's over a course of a fight, 2 minutes doesn't really work out too well. Like a lot of times, especially when you're doing something like Blast Furnace Mythic, 2 minutes doesn't work out ideally for that situation. And you want to have some control over it rather than it proccing at the wrong time. The other thing that I've noticed, but again, this is because it's the foundation, they could add loads of stuff in talents, is you go insane, but your playstyle seems to get much easier because you actually only use 2 buttons instead of the 4, because the 2 buttons actually extend your dots. But they're saying, and this is always with the caveat, is they're saying a lot of the depth and stuff will come from the talents and the artifact weapons. So I want to see things that makes insanity interesting, other than I go into that and I press Mind Blast and Mind Flay and that's about it, because that would be quite sad. But hopefully it's really, really fast. That's the idea. We get this stacking haste buff and it'll just start going bananas at that point. And maybe insanity has a really high uptime. In which case that kind of counters the idea that we're out of insanity or in insanity at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to see, because it sounded like they mean like once you get to 100, it'll start draining, and then like there'll be an integer value that continuously drains against what you can build. So eventually there'll be a cap. Like if you are a total BA crazy top tier Shadow Priest, you can stay in for 26 seconds, right? But if like you're not and you get to move,
it'll depend on ads, I think, because you'll have
right, exactly. It might depend on the fight, the phase you're on. Maybe if you, because what if you like go insane and then you wait till it's almost drained and then you pop your cooldown that refills your bar? Does that work? Because then that goes back up, gives you another couple of seconds. Because by then it's gonna be chunking you at like 15 insanity a second, right? Like a so that might be little weird things, but I think it's cool. It's better than shadow orbs, for crying out loud.
You can generate insanity while insane, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but the cooldown might.
I think it's based on the dots that are already applied before you go into it.
Yeah.
So your Mind Blast changes to something else. Yeah. So if you dot multiple, I mean, we're going into so much depth over the super basic foundation.
right.
It's so dangerous, you know that, right?
Yeah.
Interesting though.
Yeah, the idea is that you could go into dot up 5 things, which will all give insanity, become insane, and then use Mind Flay to extend those dots and keep you in insanity much longer. Does that make sense? Than a single target, which would only be generating insanity from the one Shadow of Pain.
Yeah.
And Vampire Touch.
Well, time will tell then, yeah?
I hope it goes crazy, and it really goes crazy.
So here's a scaling question. This is for me and for chat to research. I don't know if we have this confirmed yet. This comes in from KZ. Right now, the stamina scaling in Warlords of Draenor is 20 HP to 1 stamina. Are they going to let the health inflation just kind of go? And health is relative to damage being done or whatever, but we're already going to hit, like, mop HP soon. Do you think they'll take it back down to 10? I don't know if we got this confirmed or not. They're going to, like, turn that back down, the knob from 20 to 10, to, like, lower our HP cap a little bit, because, I mean, we're at, like, 500k right now. Chat room might be a little. It's for me in chat, basically. If you guys want to figure that out, I don't know if you found that out yet, Preacher. If we're gonna have that turned back down.
It doesn't. I don't think it matters. It'll all scale relative to everything else.
Right. It was a question because I forgot about the Warlords turning. Because stamina was like 15 HP to 1, which is kind of weird. Now they put it to 20, I don't know if they're going to turn it back down to 10 or what.
I think they'll just do another stat squish maybe at the end of this expansion or the next one.
Oh, most likely. I can imagine.
Yeah, I think they'll just do it that way.
All right, Nobbel, you're up next. This is from Dracula. Not Dracula, almost, but close enough. Do you think Bolvar will make a comeback in Legion? And or will he just appear in the Frost DK artifact questline? Now, the caveat to this question was cameo or actual appearance. And they were wondering, because we have to ask everyone who can help us against the Legion, right? And the Sylvanas major story integration too. I mean, what have you come up with for Mr. Bolvar 4 Dragon, sir?
Well, they actually asked the same question during BlizzCon as well, and they said like he's gonna make a cameo, and from that, I would say that he's gonna be part of the artifact questline for the Frost one, where you're gonna go to Icecrown, you're gonna pick up the Shards of Frostmourne, and he might make a cameo there. I can't imagine that with all the storylines that are going on right now, the Emerald Nightmare, Ajara and Xavius and Gul'dan and Illidan, all of that they're also gonna introduce Bolvar and be like, here's Bolvar. Not going to do anything, but, you know, maybe next expansion, but here's his storyline. I think a cameo would be great, like whispering through you through the Shards of Frostmourne, perhaps, or something in that regard. But anything massive, I can't imagine that. But I've been wrong before, many times.
Right. I just do wonder if they're going to just give him a little... Because they're going to have a lot of, like, cameos for artifacts, right? Like, where you're going. Like, doesn't one of the mage specs go to Karazhan? Oh, doesn't the Affliction Warlock go to Karazhan, too? Like, all these little places we're about to go. So...
Yeah, there are a couple of characters that can show up. There's like Agewind that could show up in the mage artifact system. There's Metal Fellstorm that could show up. There's the who now? She was also one of those.
Mage Spoon.
I'm not even gonna begin. Not even gonna begin.
Oh.
We didn't. Let's talk about artifact weapons for a minute.
Yep, let's go mage.
A minute, it'll be the entire show. So...
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, but I think like whispering through the Shards of Frostmourne would just be epic enough. Like Bolvar sitting there like, oh guys, I'm really cold. If I can come back the next expansion, it would be great. Please don't forget about me. And then you go away and you go play around with Frostmourne.
Yeah.
Done.
Fair enough. All right, Preach, you're up next, sir. This is from, I want to say it's Lexu. Lexui? I don't have no idea. Lixu. Yeah, Lixu. Yeah. Lexu. Do you think Demonhunter mobility, double jump, fell rush, glide, and whatever the hell their disengage is called, I forgot, will be overpowered or abusable in certain BGs? The example they said was like Twin Peaks running off the edge of the Alliance base, then rush gliding across the entire BG. I mean, I brought this up, of course, for you because of the double jump. Do you perceive...
Well, as a long-time PvP master, as you well know.
Right, of course.
Well-versed in all the current and trending popularities within the PvP world. All I can say is I watched the Demonhunter streams, and it does seem ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely. I think from what we've seen so far, it could absolutely be abused to all hell. I would expect Fell Rush to... be only usable on the ground at some point. That seems to be the main culprit because it gives you the distance. But glide and double jump's not, dare I say it, it's not amazing. You know what I mean? It's not the best thing in the world. I know people are going to cry heresy for that. It's not. We've seen the graphic of that. It's the glide and Fell Rush that are actually the big deal. But I don't think Fell Rush is supposed to be able to be used in the air, at a guess. But if it stays as it is, then yeah, absolutely. You can go really, really far without landing.
Yeah.
But
So,
what do you mean
I mean,
with
they've changed things in the past that did that kind of thing.
Right.
What do you mean with Fell Rush not being able to be used in the air? Like, why?
Well, at the moment, you can double jump into the air. Then you can Fell Rush, which is like a charge, but it has no target. So you can, dash through the air. And you can do that twice. And you can glide as well. So you can chain all these things back to back to stay in the air for a really long time.
Yeah. But I think that's actually their design, because in the Demonhunter starting area, you can actually pick up crystals in the air that gives you different buffs. And one of them allows you to use like Fell Rush Unlimited. So you can go like across the entire zone, which is really cool.
It's more of a mechanic side of things.
Did I get that right, Obey? Am I wrong?
I thought if the crystals heal you. Well, I could be wrong. I haven't played it.
I think what Preach is on, that's what I was feeling weird about, because you can kind of stay airborne for a long time. Which, like, the wing glide is just like you're riding a gnomish glider. Like, it's you're falling the whole time. In the current alpha build that I played at BlizzCon, you actually can't cancel your wings. Unless you actually make a cancel or a macro, maybe, that you can actually cancel it. Because once you start floating, you're floating. You can't stop yourself. But you can still Fell Rush in the air.
You can just jump and then it cancels, right?
No, what you jump, how the wings work is that you spacebar to double jump, and then when you're double jumped after that is on cooldown, the next spacebar you hit just puts your wings out. And you can't stop that.
I thought you could just hit, just jump again, like Trekkie says. Just hit the jump again and your wings are cancelled. Yeah, I thought that.
You really could? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's better than what I was I barely get to play. I played for like 10 minutes. But the Fel Rush...
45!
Yeah. The Fel Rush in the air, I don't know if they can... That seems a little bit...
It has,
I think the whole demon
potential problems.
Yeah, I think the whole...
It has to have that ability.
The whole kit seems to be designed about exploiting like things that weren't exploitable before, like jumping everywhere. Like it's the distance is like 3 disengages of hunters in total. Like Alex from Fatboss was also messing around with it. You know, he loves doing that stuff.
Oh, he does. He does.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be certain issues here and there. So I wonder how they're going to take care of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like as well. I think people might be put off, especially if they like PvP. If you're doing rated BGs and it stays as it is, you'll definitely be pigeonholed into flag carrier. I'm not sure how many people want to re-roll to do something like that.
Can you disengage while holding the flag right now as a hunter, though?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Here we ask. I don't know. So
Chat
I don't know
will
if
tell you in a moment.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Chat will definitely tell you.
But I can imagine like speed increase, like the goblin boost from your belt, that will make you drop the flag. So I can imagine that they'll add a system like that where if you like Fel Rush or you double jump, that you actually drop the flag. Something like that.
I'm pretty sure no class abilities do that. They turned off engineering, but class abilities work fine, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, chat seems to be confirming.
Yeah. So they can. Okay. Well, that could definitely be a problem, but that's up to Blizzard. Like, how are they going to balance that out? But it could be, yeah.
Yeah, so that you can still disengage with it. So, I mean, I don't PvP enough to really know, but what's awkward about it is that the Fel Rushing in the air might be able to be exploitable in raids, like to avoid the Z-axis on certain abilities. Like, that's what I'm scared about more so than the PvP comments exactly, is that, like, what if you have demon hunters that can avoid mechanics completely, and that'll become necessary on certain mythic fights in the future? Because
certainly they're going to design certain fights around the demon hunter, right? Otherwise they wouldn't add double jump.
Like, double jump is fine. It's just, like, the distance...
And the whole glide, yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, immunities drop flag. I'm talking about, travel abilities.
Sure. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of weird about the Demon Hunter movement, which could be... It
looks fantastic.
It feels great, yeah.
It looks so
it's
fun.
really fun to play with, absolutely.
It's just when it gets to the bare bones, it looks like, that could be a problem later on, but...
Right.
If they have that kind of fun in the starting area, no issues for me. That looks really fun.
Fair enough.
Like, controlled environments, it seems fine. I'm sure they'll be able to exploit a lot of old world stuff, especially.
Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, Nobbel, your turn.
Yeah. Woohoo.
From Solfalia, we have undead priests using holy magic. We have undead warriors wearing plate armor. Is there a lore reason that Blizzard cannot give us undead paladins?
No, there's no lore reason for it. The reason why they don't is that they want to keep the paladin somewhat unique, similar to the shaman. They want to keep it a unique class. In the lore, we actually have an undead paladin. If you remember the 4 horsemen of Naxxramas, Sir Zeliek is actually still a paladin. So undead paladin is definitely possible. And in theory, like, you'll have to get training, but in theory, anything that can use the light and can use weapons could become a paladin with the right training and schooling and all that. But it's just to keep the class somewhat unique.
I mean, unique, though, but people can then argue, like, they gave it to Blood Elves, and they gave it to Tauren.
Like, yeah, but that's the whole... Yeah, like I said, lore-wise it can happen, but it's more of a gameplay thing why they don't.
That's fair.
I assume, at least. Yeah, because you're looking for a lore reason, right?
Right.
I give you a freaking undead paladin.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah. I want you to roll your eyes. You went in such lore mode then.
Now you roll your eyes.
I just decided my balls started shaking. I was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Oh my goodness. There are kids here, Preacher. Jeez, there are kids here.
Who? Well, my kids are in bed. So should you.
Yeah, exactly.
But the whole undead using the light as well. Like, at some point they decided that the undead and the Forsaken should start using the light, but in lore it should actually hurt them a lot. Same if you're a Death Knight tank, for example, and a priest is healing you, you're in pain. But apparently you're so convicted in what you're doing that you can still keep on going, which is, it's what they decided.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It was a question that came up in 2 emails, so I wanted to get that in there. So, All right, this is for both of you. This is going to go for I don't know, who wants to take this first? Because this is a
I just went Preacher, go for it, man.
All right. So this is from Nop. Nop wants to know, do you agree with Blizzard's take on the new class fantasy with Spirit Fingers, right? So the idea that the class should thematically have certain mechanics that fit it, like shamans with the new Maelstrom. Or do you like the idea of classes having fun mechanics associated with classes and specs that don't have to be overly thematic or that don't exactly make sense for a particular class?
It seems to be edging me towards Paladin Teleport. But
damn it!
I think you can have both, and I think they're doing both. The idea of having thematic mechanics, I think, fits really well. I'm happy they're moving back towards class fantasy instead of homogenization. I think that works. That's a really good change. It always bothered me that places like Moonglade were never used properly from the start of the game. They should be interesting, right? We should be able to go there and have some sort of druid powwow and chill out and do things, and all the mechanics work with that. They can still be fun though. I don't think that having thematic abilities makes them not fun.
Right.
I think you can have really fun stuff mixed into that. But it's going to be subjective from class to class. Some changes are really interesting and cool. Some seem a little bit sad and lonely. But overall, I think it's a great direction. I really do. I'm happy that it's happening.
My caveat to that one was the new fantasy, quote unquote, in this case, that so many classes in Legion look like they have like a builder spender system. Like, is there a huge difference between Astral Power, Maelstrom, freaking Runic Power, Rage? Like, they're all the same. They're a special bar you fill up, and then you spend it on something else.
Yeah, in basic, but if you want to go to the fantasy, they're not.
Well, right. That's the side question to you. But like to Preach, like.
Oh, sorry.
Kind of like.
Oh, there we go.
No.
Fine, I'll butt out here. Okay, chat room. How
this could get pretty insane. But again, we're basing it on the super basic stuff.
Right.
Am I happy with? I guess the question is, am I overall happy with the stuff that we've seen so far? Well, if we were going to talk about Shaman specifically, which you can obviously weigh in on, Bay, not particularly. It hasn't made any difference at all. I mean, with Elemental, we basically got Lightning Shield baked into a new ability. You can say it's class fantasy all you want, but it didn't make a difference gameplay-wise at all, from what I could tell, besides Flame Shock. There's some changes I really worry, and I think most of us do right now, is we've seen the basic stuff. This is the way I'll put it. We've seen the basic stuff. However, they've taken some things out that are just too big to be put back in as talents.
Right.
So if we look at a rogue and the new outlaw spec, which is essentially what combat is now, they've removed combat insight, which was where you could show the finesse and the depth of the class. Now, there's no way for combat combat insight is a talent, unless they've managed to change it somewhat drastically, because we don't have Revealing Strike, which made it work for the better players. So there is some stuff that's been removed in the sake of theme that I don't think works out too well at all. But some things are really good, because we're talking about 40 odd specs here, so
right. It's the weird balance, because then the chat room said like, well, what about all these classes just had mana before, and like it's better than having just like a mana bar. But when a lot of classes just have this builder spender system, hopefully the variety that you play around with how you build and spend is different enough between classes, because right now on paper, Enhancement Shaman just looks like Fury Warrior. You have like 2 builders and 2 spenders.
Yeah.
Yay. Like, it's all you have. It's the same thing. So, how about...
I could do the list of what looks scary if you want. But I don't think it's going to help anybody. That's why I don't want to really name names.
That's fair.
But Enhancement Shaman would be on the list. Enhancement Shaman so far looks messy for no gain.
Mm-hmm. How about on the flip side, from your perspective, Nobbel? Like, with your introduction there before, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to just...
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy to listen to you guys. For me, it's, as surprising it might be, for me, I'd rather have a fun game than an immersive game, in limits. Like, I wouldn't like to see a rogue running around with like a boomstick and shooting everybody. He should be roguish.
Right.
But, yeah, I'd rather have a fun class to play than something that I can immerse myself in. Like, look, I'm a Holy Crusader, but it's just not a cool thing to do. So for me, I would go gameplay over the fantasy itself.
Yeah, which is that...
Within reason.
That's like quotable. I mean, there's your within reason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a weird back and forth, because obviously the gameplay of the game comes first, as the fantasy does come second.
Well, that was the question though. Like, do you want the thematical certain mechanics, or do you want to have fun mechanics? And for me, it's more over the fun than that it's thematical related to the classes.
Right. Why not both though? I don't get that. Like,
both is absolutely.
Mechanics don't have to be sterile at all. They don't have to be that way.
Yeah, but look at the if you're looking at the, I don't want to bring it up, but the Paladin teleport, for example.
Yeah.
Like, that's, in my opinion, is a fun ability. Does it make much sense lore-wise? You can give it a spin, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's a fun mechanic, so I'd rather have that than something that absolutely makes sense. I
think my point on that, and it always gets lost because I bring up Paladin teleport, is that it didn't have to be a Paladin teleport. It could have been something that a Paladin has that does exactly the same thing and made total sense. There is no reason it couldn't have been like a light, wings shoot out of your back, leap into the air and crash down and drop a consecrate. That would have looked equally as cool, if not cooler. You could have spawned a mount of light that instantly travels you over to, something along those lines that would have made some kind of sense rather than something we'd never seen before, which is why I was tweeting you at BlizzCon about it. We had a conversation about the teleport. It was like, does this exist anywhere? Yeah. Like, is this anything we can base this on? And
just Tyrael.
Bolvar's might.
And it was just throwing your weapon, right? Like, throw your weapon and then you teleport to that location.
Exactly, which is fine. And I have no issue with Paladins getting a gap closer. That's not a thing that anyone cares about. It just could have been cooler, and it could have been different without raising these questions, which is
what could be
kind
awesome,
of the issue we've come up.
What could be awesome, even though it's only limited to Legion, because at some point we're gonna replace our artifacts. It could be awesome if they make like a connection to the Ashbringer, like it's a retribution talent, right? Retribution ability. If they could somehow explain it that because of the Ashbringer, you now have the ability to. You have such a connection to it that you can make to it. Like, you can always give a lore spin to it if you want as well, because as I tweeted out to you, you could say that by tossing your weapon, you create such a flash of light that your enemies are blinded, and it appears like you teleported there. But I like your suggestion as well, man. I would love if, like, from Diablo, like, the mount shows up underneath you and you go... That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my only suggestion, is a teleport doesn't seem to fit thematically.
Yeah,
I think that's... We're getting back to this question.
Absolutely.
The teleport doesn't seem to fit thematically, where other ideas... which accomplish the same thing, would have maybe fit more thematically and been way cooler, honestly. I mean, I have Shadow Stepped for the last expansion. It's not once you do it a few times, it's not that interesting, right? So if it does look, but Heroic Leap is always cool. It's every single time I do Heroic Leap, it's always cool. So something like that. I don't know. It was just one of those things that didn't need to have questions raised about it. It could have just been something else that would have been way more fun and done exactly the same thing. I have no issue with Paladins being able to teleport. None at all.
Right. Well, I hope beta is then going to be the time that they actually take feedback, maybe also change the name, because it's now named after Lothar, which I also don't really get. Like,
Johnny Lothar.
Johnny Lothar,
the brother of
Johnny Lothar. That was our solution to it. Johnny Lothar.
Alrighty then. Preach, this is another one from Class Fantasy to tie up this thing. The next one for both of you is also the same realm. This is from Sorthalis. Fury Warriors are apparently getting a 30% additional HP boost, which doesn't really seem to fit the fantasy, does it? ? And it seems to more as a cop-out way to solve the increased damage they are going to be intaking from Enrage. So agree, disagree. You talked about this in your Warrior preview, so what do you...
Yeah, I mean, we mathed it out. It depends how we approach this. Is the 30% HP to counter the 30% extra damage? Yes, obviously, right? That's without question. Is it a cop-out? I think the whole idea was a bit of a cop-out. It didn't need to go down this way. It's similar to the Paladin thing. I get what they were going for, is that you're going so angry that you don't even try to avoid attacks even anybody would avoid, and you're taking more damage. That's kind of the idea. But it just didn't need to be that way, because no matter how many times we mathed it out and shown that actually a Fury Warrior in Legion with the current build that they're saying actually performs better survivability-wise because of how the other systems back it up, which is true.
Right.
We checked it. We tested it. If your Fury Warrior had got these changes today, he would survive better than a Fury Warrior right now. But you're never going to get that across the community because you have this 30% extra damage taken. And that's all anybody will see. And that just seems ridiculous to everybody. It doesn't matter how many times you explain it. And it even happened in the video where we went, look, this is how it will work out, and this is why it's okay. And people just went, yeah, but 30% extra damage. Yeah, but look, it's fine. Yeah, but 30% extra damage. So I get the theme, and it's something they kind of had in the past. Like Deathwish got multiple iterations that make you take more damage or less resistance or whatever. And they could have just tied it to a cooldown. That's all they had to do to fit that class fantasy. Is your cooldown makes you take more damage and not a lot to fit the theme, instead of making it overly complicated.
Doesn't the Bloodthirst heal or other healing components of the warrior actually heal off percentage-based HP too? So
yeah, 5%.
Having more HP actually gives your self-healing a larger boost as well. would it not?
Yeah, we did some log comparisons of a Fury Warrior now versus a Legion Fury Warrior and Gushing Wound, which raiders will know about on a mythic scale. And even in comparison to a rogue, overall, you were taking 300k less damage, and these rogues were using faint 2 out of 5 Gushing Wounds. So not all the time. Rogues, were notorious for taking very little damage there. But comparatively, you were absolutely fine. You were certainly better than many other people. And the only time this 30% extra damage could cause a problem was major bursts of damage where the scaling got a little bit high. So we looked at Mythic Blackhand, Explosive Siege Engine, which is 800k damage for a Fury Warrior in Legion. But that's when you use a defensive, which would have counted it fine. So, it works. It works, but it just didn't need to go down that way. It's one of those things that I get what they were going for. It's like, you're so angry, you're taking more damage. But the only way they could fix it was to give more HP for no apparent reason whatsoever. And just didn't need to be that way. They could have brought Deathwish back. I would have been more happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, they might change stuff, obviously, is why we bring this set of stuff up. And I feel it's kind of a weird, just because, they're going to have more HP anyway, technically, because they're already dual-wielding two two-handers that have more stamina than just having one one-hander as your arms
it's 31%, I think. You get 25% extra base and then 6% from your second two-hander.
Yeah, it's just, we'll see. It's just early stuff, but
it'll get changed because it's far too complicated to explain why it's okay. And everybody just sees that's the only reason, is it's just too complicated to look. No one wants to look at a load of math when all they can see in front of them is you take 30% extra damage. It's just not going to work out that way. So they'll change it to something else.
Though. That 30%,
exactly, but 30%. It's like, yeah, but you're fine, but 30%. And
but 30%.
I get that. I totally get that. Yeah, but on the thing it says 30% extra damage. Yeah. And I saw people arguing to death, but no one actually sat down and worked it out. But we did, and it's fine.
So, this is for both of you. And to wrap up the whole class preview stuff and these questions, with all of them being out right now, if tomorrow you had to choose a new main based off the new information, a new one, what would you choose, Nobbel?
Very, very hard to say right now because we just said every single number is still going to change. I'm still very much in love with the Paladin though. I love the versatility, and even though we're getting more close up in combat, they're going to remove more of the range spells. I'm going to stick with the Paladin, but the Shadow Priest with the whole insanity bit looks very, very interesting. If we're looking at the artifacts instead of just the talents, I would roll a warrior because I love the artifacts for the warriors. Story-wise, not looks-wise. Otherwise, still
story-wise.
Cut my head off again. Yeah.
Preach.
That happened yesterday. I was like, "Is everybody hyped?" And everybody's like, "No, they don't look like I want to look them like." I'm like, okay, well, I like the story though.
Yeah, dude. There's some Tears Hand stuff there, and some Titan nonsense of the warriors, and oh my goodness, yeah. And the first allied alliance back in the day. So, yeah.
Yep.
Preach. What about you, man?
Yeah. I'm probably going to stay Prot Warrior because I can ignore pain now and my magical mystery shield's gone. Yay! This inexplicable angry shield I make is disappearing, which I'm so as soon as I read that, I was like, I'm sold, done deal, I'm out. But if I was to re-roll, and I would go probably back to DPS, assuming the top-end RNG gets fixed, which I'm not convinced it is going to be.
Right.
It would probably be a mage from what I've seen so far. The mage changes are... Yes. Yeah, the mage changes so far are very, very nice. So I'm, well, besides the arcane ones, but in general, pretty good.
Besides the arcane ones, but everything else is pretty good.
Yeah, overall, I would be really happy with that.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to take a little moment here. We still have tons more questions to go through with the ones that were submitted. I'm going to take a moment to plug these nerds' channels and some other places that you need to actually have bookmarked, and especially the coming weeks with all the stuff that's happening right now. So there's a lot of tweets and blue posts right now going out from the Warcraft devs Twitter to confirm certain things. And the best place to find them all now is going to be at MMO Champion. If you go to the MMO Champion, the link is down below as well. You just go to scroll a little bit down here, a little bit more. And oh, what's this? What's Nobbel Preacher, did you see Gnome Hunters? Did you?
Yay, Gnome Hunters! Where's my Gnome Paladin at, though?
Where's my Gnome Paladin?
I want a Gnome Paladin, man. If I could, I would gnome everything, to be honest. That mechanical chicken, come on now.
That is
Who's not going to roll a Gnome Paladin?
Oh, I don't play Alliance, so it means nothing to me, really.
Wow!
I'm happy for people who wanted it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. Well, all right, then. If you keep scrolling down past the Gnome Hunters, you will see this huge Legion class feedback This is a big blue tracker that they are now sorting by class, which you can go back here. I'm sure they'll keep updating this as new blue posts come up. But this is a great resource if you're looking at some clarifications. There's a lot of warrior clarifications. Holy crap. And they're all sorted right here at MMO Champion. And they're going to have, you know, once the beta comes up, it's going to be data mined in like 24 hours. So MMO Champion is your place to go. There's a write-up from my dev interview. If you don't want to listen to it, that's totally fine. They're all right there on MMO Champion. Please check that out. I think Tally's up here with his BlizzCon early demo of the Demonhunter. You can go watch the Tally man play Demonhunter from the BlizzCon floor, actually. And of course, all the links to all the class previews are right here if you don't know how to get to the confangled one on the official site. Additionally, of course, Preach is on the YouTubes. I'm spamming his stuff during the show, but if you don't know where he's at, if you're coming from the other side of the spectrum here, Mike Preach Wow on the YouTubes. He's got a lot of videos. If you click on the video tab here, he's already got one for each freaking class. So Warlock, Death Knight, and Shaman, and Warrior, and Monk, and Paladin, and Mage, and Hunter, and everything else. It's right here. So go check out all the stuff he's going to be covering in Legion soon. I'm sure it's going to only go from there. Additionally, oh look, Nobbel has a YouTube. He just put out his 2-hour loregasm for artifact weapons. You can go watch that later. He breaks down every one of them. It was ridiculous. He also has his BlizzCon 2015 wrap-up trip and all the other stuff he's covered. His Hearthstone little lore bites. And right now he's in the middle. Part 2 comes out today, I want to say. He's doing the entire Ner'zhul to Lich King story, right, Nobbel? The whole thing.
Yep.
It's like
all
19 parts, right?
Something like that. I still need to make like 7 videos, but we're gonna get there.
Yes, we definitely will. But part 2 is today, right, for Ner'zhul?
Yep. With special machinima included, so it's gonna be great.
I can't wait. That's my dinner tonight after I'm done with the show. Absolutely. Perfect. And then, of course, if you're looking for more World of Warcraft stuff, the favored page, the Firelord's favorite page on my website, FinalBoss.tv, also linked down below, has links to everything you could think of, really. Like, we've put a lot of work into this. Whammo did all of the artwork for every single one of these panels. A lot of individual class websites are here. Additional YouTubers that also do things on the stuffs that are covering things for Legion or not, or people that I just really like that have really great content outside of that. You can all go check them out. They're all, I'm still going. There's a lot. And they're all linkable. You go all to where you want to find on the internet. Some graphic designers down here and artists and freaking machinators and singers and it's all right there. And to keep us going, and this is a caveat to an upcoming giveaway I have, the Designed by Humans shop for our t-shirts and apparels and things like that. I'm going to be giving away, like, I don't know, a dozen free shirts sometime soon. So stay tuned to our Twitter for that, just to say thank you for everyone that has supported the show and wants to keep us doing what we're doing here, so I can keep getting all these nerds on the show. The link is down below for this. Oh, there's also stickers. But that's enough out of me. We have a whole bunch more questions to talk about. And I got like 12 more, I think. Gentlemen, ready for round 2? Ready for round 2?
Ready.
Okay. All right.
Are you ready, Preach? Did you find your notes?
You go first.
Cool. Oh, goody.
You go first.
Yes, bring it.
Well, this is another double question for both of you. So, this one comes in from Urbellum. What new zones are you most looking forward to exploring in Legion? And is there a particular reason that zone is calling out to you?
Well, since I got to go first, like I wanted to say like good and everything, but if I had to pick, for me, it's gonna be Stormheim. We're gonna get more Valkyrie lore, and we're gonna go into their origin. We got the High Mountain Torrent. We got this new race of stone creatures. We got Neltharion's Lair. We got the Norse mythology going on. New Titan Keepers. We got Heaven and Hell going on with the whole ship thing. Mind-blowing what I've seen of Stormheim so far. So I'm very excited about that zone. But like I said, all of them offer something. Like one has the Emerald Dream and the Druid stuff. One has the new Night Elf race. But
yeah.
For me, it's Stormheim. Yep.
Stormheim confirmed. Alrighty. Pretty sure. What about you, sir?
Well, from the anti-lore point of view, Stormheim, because it looks way cool.
Yay, we agree on something.
We do.
Oh my god, what just happened? I've lost control of my show. I'll see you all later.
There isn't that much we disagree on. That's not a thing.
This is true, but
you're starting trouble, babe.
Don't tell the
internet. We got
that.
beef. We might have beef, but we do agree on a lot of things.
Right.
But yeah, Stormheim just looks so cool. So I'm in. I'm invested. As soon as I saw like the dungeon pictures and stuff, I was like, oh yeah.
Did you see the shit
Give me
one with
some
the
of that.
tornadoes? Oh man.
Gimmick. Boo.
Wow.
Grimrail Depot. Get out.
Love it.
Oh, it's a lot cooler than a Grimrail Depot, though. You're not on a train. You're on a freaking ghost ship sailing the high seas. Come on now.
We'll see. We'll see.
Escorting a most
pessimistic.
precious. We're gonna be escorting a most precious cargo.
Mm.
Sylvana's gonna die, maybe, or maybe one of those Titan stones.
Speculation. Kill the heresy. I'm an unbeliever. Where's Thrall? Where's Green Jesus?
As Jeb pointed out as well, there's going to be a side story with Sylvanas and again Greymane as well in that zone.
Right.
Exciting stuff.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yep, we have confirmation on that.
This is the tale.
Oh my goodness. No, get the Lonely Island out of here. Oh my goodness. I love that song. But yeah, the Alliance get a Gen Greymane like cinematic bit, and the Horde will get a Sylvanas bit. So yeah.
And Greymane's going to be using the Skyfire to do certain missions. Like if you check the panel with the quest, there was like this description of Gen Greymane. He wants to take out the Skyfire for a spin, and you get to join him. Can't wait.
You can't wait. Indeed.
Bring the game, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me grab the next question here. This one will be from Preach. All right, you ready for this, Preach? You good? You good?
Yeah.
You
I
all
think this
set?
is a really good question, by the way.
Let me see here. So this is from Loke, or Locke, depending on how you want to pronounce that O. But let's see. Blizzard stated that Hammer of Wrath is being removed because, the quote is, warriors are intended to be the kings of execute mechanics, and others have crept too far into that territory. So do we think that all other execute mechanics, other than warriors, are going to be removed? Kill shot, dispatch, the warlock thing, whatever it is. Do you think that's like a... I don't know what it's called.
I guess that's what it's supposed to be.
Right. I mean, is this like... Because you play a warrior...
This is confirmed.
Like...
This is true. This is happening. Soul Reaper, all those are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they confirmed it today. Even Dark Souls going from warlocks. I don't even want to know anymore.
Like all executes are gone, really?
Yeah. Now, as soon as I read this from a raider's point of view, this is the first thought that entered my head. If warriors are the king of execute, all their other damage is crap, because it must be balanced around that, right? I mean, we've seen this before. Otherwise, why would you bring anything else? If you have a class that's capable of destroying a boss once it hits 20% and still does great damage outside of that, you want as many of them as possible, right? Bay, are you with me on that?
I mean, it depends on the encounter.
It depends on the encounter, but in general, you'd want to like fit the classes that meet the other mechanics and then stack it with warriors. So I really worry that they're going to have to gimp warriors damage outside of execute to make up for that.
I hope not. Yeah, it'll be weird. Unless like executing for warriors will replace something else, so they just don't... They gain the damage from having executes, but they don't keep all their same damage and add executes to it. Because yeah, right now, warriors like do nothing for the first 3/4 of a fight. And like 20% rolls around and they're like, oh yay, it's my turn. I think you wipe on progression over and over again. So
I worry about anything that's so niche like that, especially when it's usable in every encounter.
Right.
It also feels like it's very anti-boss design. Like, are we ever going to see a boss like Valstraz again, where it starts at low HP,
right?
But it's very intense? Because in those, if you have a class that's so dedicated to being the kings of execute, then you just want as many of them as possible. It seems like it hampers you for no apparent reason. Execute should be more damage, but again, it's okay saying Kill Shot's going and Soul Reaper's going, but Soul Reaper was usable in different ways as well. So, I mean, Soul Reaper wasn't just an execute thing. You could abuse Soul Reaper in different ways, so I'm sad to see that go. And Shadowburn did different things as well. So I don't know, I'm not excited about that change.
Chatroom pointed out, what if execute becomes like a big nerf? And on top of that, my own question, like, what side are you on? Would you rather see no execute at all, or execute for everybody, like we had in the past?
Well, even that...
Execute for everybody, because they work differently.
They were a little different. I mean, there were a lot of classes that never, ever had them, ever. Like Feral Druids, Balanced Druids, Enhanced Shamans, never Elemental Shamans. Well, Feral got like
the Ferocious Bite continued rip, so you didn't have to rip anymore.
That's true. That's true. It's like a soft execute, though, right? Like, it's not like Dispatch or Execute or Soul Reaper directly giving a new button.
It's a similar sort of execute thing. You do more damage when you get to lower HP.
Right, right.
If we're just going to class that as an execute mechanic, is your DPS ramps up.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It's also nice for filling off ads, though. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, Kill Shot is so useful. You know, because you don't want the warriors running around executing things. You don't want that, really. That's, you know, some things are good for, and shadow burning and kill shotting things clears up a lot of trash.
Yeah.
It allows soul shot. I don't know.
Like
I don't like the change.
I thought it was just going to be like the Paladins because they want to remove the ranged attacks from Paladins, get them more melee. So I thought that was that because of that. But if it's for everybody, I wonder why. Like, what kind of designs are they gonna encounters are gonna design around that system? But I really like those last 30%. Like, everybody goes nuts and they got their... Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, the follow-up question to that that's in here, Nobbel, is, are your thoughts on the removal of Hammer of Wrath, or Hammer of GG, as I put it here? There were comments earlier about Retribution Paladins having too many ranged abilities, and to bring their fantasy back, you're not going to be more close-knit to the boss and bring you back into melee. Even though you are getting, like, the Johanna Crusader throw-your-hammer spin thing, so, I mean, like... Ranged abilities, too many of them. Here's another one, but we're gonna take this one away.
Yeah, like that's why I shut up when you talk about class balance, because this is your area. I'm more of I'll sit back and I'll see what happens, and I'll let much wiser people, you know, give feedback about it. For me, if they really want to, like I said, if just for Paladins, I really got the feeling they want us to be toe-to-toe with the battles again. With the ranged attacks, we got a little bit nuts. We got Exorcism, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath. We were all over the place, which I really enjoyed. I love their playstyle, but I can get that they want to bring us back to melee. So for just the Paladin, you know, I'm going to miss it for sure. It was so part of our kit right now. Like, you go Hammer of Wrath, Exorcism, Holy, Power filled up, and then you do your combo again. I really liked I'm going to miss it. But if it's for everybody, like I just said, I can't imagine why. Like, why would you want to do that?
Because certain classes sort of really delved into it. But I guess it also, outside of warriors, it'll be more fun for the classes that don't have to worry about execute mechanics anymore to a degree. Because if you had them, a lot of your damage, like Preach said, could have caked into that last bit of the encounter. But that also will make boss design differently, because Blizzard kind of has to realize that that's why bosses usually get a little more crazy when they get to execute range, because then, like, you can't just tunnel a boss with all these classes doing more damage because of execute mechanics, because the boss will die faster. So really, like, other things are happening to help complicate that. And if they don't have that anymore, is it like a soft nerf to boss craziness?
It seems to make a lot of things static as well. There was something, I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier with the talent system so far, and finding the finesse and those little elements that you could stick on, like DK's throwing a Soul Reaper at a certain time, so not that it was do its damage in a lot of ways, but so you could use the haste onto the main target. You know, a lot of these are all things that were really fun to do, but they're not things you could do all the way through the fight. And there's I don't want everything to go static. Like, from every boss from 100% to 0, you kind of play exactly the same. It's nice that when you get lower down to the fight, the tension's rising on progress or whatever it might be, is that more things start lighting up and you're like, oh, we're in kill shot range. We're going somewhere. You know, we're getting things happening. I'm now dispatching all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of presence to those abilities for a number of classes. And not all of them need them, but it wasn't that widespread that I thought it was a problem by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something cooler, even on your Rep Paladin. We all had those PvP moments where some guy was like, I'll get you. And then they start running away, but of course you can throw the hammer across the field, and you just hit them in the back, and the spark of light goes off, and they fall on their knees. Those moments are really fun. I get what they're trying to do with Rep, but would anybody have ever asked me that Hammer of Wrath was a problem in vanilla till now? No. Maybe we used it too much in WoD, especially because it got kind of spammable on regular occasions. But
yeah, it became like part of your rotation. Like, you pop your wings, especially with the set bonus. It became absolutely part of it. So that's why I was reading it. And when you messaged me, babe, because I didn't even know that they were removing it, I was like, oh, okay, so there's actually a lot going to change. And then I saw the new ranged ability with like 12 yards. I was like, okay, weird. Well, we'll see how it's going to turn out though in beta. And like I said, for me, this question, it's not my area of expertise. I let other people worry about the numbers and how it all turns out.
That's fine. Well, this is a question for you to worry about right here then. How about that? You ready for this one?
Ready.
This one has been pretty much, I think, overall confirmed, but I want you to lay it out there on the line for one based on the stuff that you have found. So, will Illidan Stormrage be a good guy or a bad guy in Legion? How is the story going to play out? And in italics, what has been confirmed?
Right. I actually took a few notes just to make sure that we got everything, so I'll just read it out and then we can talk about it. In short, they've been talking about an Illidan. Yeah, Preach, you sit back, matey. Let me drop some Illidan love for you. Get Ghosty in here. He's going to love it. In short, they've been talking about an Illidan redemption story for years. Been asked to BlizzCon, and I can't imagine them bringing back Illidan only to be the bad guy that they're gonna kill off. So most likely he's gonna be on our side. He's probably not gonna be the complete good guy. It's probably gonna be a situation of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like, you know, Illidan hates the Legion. We don't like the Legion because they're destroying our planet. We're gonna team up and we're gonna take down some demons. Now the notes that I got here is not much has been confirmed. What we do know is that Illidan, Illidan sent his demon hunters to Mardoom on this super special mission, right? Where while we assault the Black Temple, he sends away his demon hunters to do this mission. They're sent there to collect the Sargerite Keystone, while also stealing some of the abilities here and there. Just gonna move it in front of me, otherwise I'm looking weird. While also stealing some of the abilities here and there from the demons that they encounter, while we kick the crap out of Illidan. Now, in the Demon Hunter starting area, you get up to the point where you take down the Spider Queen, and it doesn't continue from there. So we can only speculate what happened. Some way, somehow, we know that we defeat Illidan, but Maiev also imprisons the remaining Demon Hunters. So you're probably going to get back there and be like, hey, what happened to Illidan? Oh, snap, I'm going to be in jail now. And then we're going to fast forward 10 years, where the Demon Hunters are released. The Legion actually attacks the Vault of the Wardens. And later on, we're going to find out, like, why exactly did they attack that? Why exactly did Gul'dan go for Illidan's body? Because we don't know. You can speculate that Illidan maybe made a deal with them in the Twisted Nether. Maybe they were dumb enough to think they could control Illidan. But the point is, at the end of all of it, once we go into Ravenhold, Lord Ravencrest's keep, which is also going to be hot on the tail of Illidan, we're going to find out what exactly Illidan is doing, what he's trying. And there's this image that was at Comic-Con, where you actually see Illidan mid-strike when he's about to strike Gul'dan. And from that, I think it's pretty clear that Illidan at some point is going to join our team and take care of Gul'dan. The how, the what, and the why, that's all up for grabs. But that's pretty much what we know right now.
Because they've also confirmed that, like, he will be awaiting at the top of Black Temple to instruct the new Demon Hunters, right? Like, they couldn't, like, not tell us, I guess. So he's not going to be a bad guy, but we'll have some probably tumultuous starts to the expansion.
What do you mean, waiting on the Black Temple? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what was tweeted out. Like, he's going to wait at the Black Temple to instruct the new Demon Hunters.
Yeah, just send them away on a mission, right?
Right. So,
yeah, but that's the start. That's just before we enter the Black Temple and attack him. Yeah.
So it's gonna be, but like if we free him, because the question that came in from this is like, it seems a bit stupid that for Legion, Gul'dan, to let out of jail the one guy who is super duper equipped to kick their butts.
Yeah, and what they said was Gul'dan is like gifted with the limitless knowledge of the Burning Legion, which is the whole transcend realities bit. But he's specifically sent there to get Illidan. So why? Maybe a deal, because Illidan has worked for the Legion before and betrayed them again and then again. Maybe some sort of mind control thing where they think, like, if we infuse him with power, he's our puppet. Or maybe some entire different reason. Only time will tell.
Yep. It's going to be... I mean, we have this very well confirmed that the intro cinematic we're going to have to the Broken Shore and, like, the topsy-turviness we're going to be thrown into in Legion is going to be a little ridiculous, so we'll have to just hold on to our butts. But
oh yeah, like a lot of people with the cinematic, they said like we only see Sylvanas and Varian, like where's everybody else?
Right.
Well, we already had Jaina confirmed, we had Vol'jin confirmed, I believe. We have seen Galvin Mekatork on one of the cinematic panels. Every hero,
Greymane's there, yeah.
Greymane, like every hero is gonna get its moment to shine in the sun, and that's gonna be like assault the beach. We gotta get to the temple. We gotta close that rift. We gotta get to the Tomb of Sargeras and close that rift before this legion goes in, before they invade our planet. Right. And of course, we're gonna fail, because otherwise it would be a very short expansion. But that's how it's all gonna go down. Fair
enough. Alrighty, sir.
I mean, are you still awake, Preach? Are you still with us, mate?
That was the most lore I've heard in years. No, it sounds good, though. Sounds good. Yeah. I like the theme of Legion, if I'm being honest. I mean, the story obviously doesn't do it for me, but the theme is really nice.
And thankfully, it's not all demon like we've seen with Hellfire Citadel. Thankfully, it's a little bit mixed and merged here and there, which I really, really, really like.
Like the Ajara stuff on the side, and again, Greymane stuff with Sylvanas on the side.
Nightmare
like,
stuff on the side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then you're talking about themes, Preach. It's like you see these like notes in front of us, something like that. You know, the question coming up. So this is to you from B-List. Goes back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier today, but after that's all wrapped up, are you afraid that Blizzard will be focusing too much on redesigning classes with the intention to make them more thematic instead of increasing the practicality, fluidity, and fun of the spec? This also ties into that whole execute thing too. So
yeah, and to the specific answer to the question, no, I don't think they're sacrificing fun for theme. I think that would be a really silly way to go about things. I think a lot of us are on the fence because all we've seen is the very, very super basic style of play, which is a good thing because the hunters fell into that trap where the foundation of their specs wasn't unique enough and the talents just made them really homogenous across all three. So I think the idea is good. Why not have the foundation be very, very themed around the class? I think that's wonderful. And then add in stuff on. I like that we're layering things on. How complex that will be and will it be enough given what's been taken out so far will be the big question, if their fun is still there. Because there are some specs that certainly seem at risk of not being fun because of the... Not really even because of the thematic changes. I wouldn't blame the thematic changes. I would say just in terms of class design overall. Like some of the removals aren't because of the theme. They're just because they got rid of it. So I wouldn't blame that for it. But I think we're all in that boat. Most of us have looked at it and thought, okay, you've taken a lot away, and I don't see how you're going to get that back in. I think another question that was raised, similar to this, is are they just going to take stuff out of the classes now and put it back in as talents elsewhere? Because we're seeing that with Rogues and Killing Spree. Killing Spree is going away from Outlaw baseline, but they're adding it back in as a talent. And will we be speccing several talents which just bring us back to a sort of WOD spell bar?
Yeah.
Which is not a cool thing. That's not exciting to see. So I can't answer the question specifically because we haven't seen artifacts and talents, but we're all definitely worried about where it's going. Because all we've seen is the super simple versions, which doesn't appeal to, many of us.
Yeah, like a lot more information is going to become available, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's so much more behind it with the whole balancing and everything else that's going to be part of your kit.
We had like 5 spells revealed. I mean,
yeah,
you only need to look at your action bar and realize that there's obviously there's so much more to come yet that we'll have to wait and see. But we are hearing daily of certain things that are removed, like Soul Reaper is gone, Dark Soul is gone. These kind of things have disappeared. Find Weakness is gone. And these were all the real flavor things that added to the spec. So we'll see where we're all waiting with bated breath. I'm trying not to be too down on it because there's so much more to come. But we're all waiting. Just give us a little hint as to what's happening.
I was about to ask you, like, what's your overall feeling with this whole class revamp? Do you think it's a good thing, or you're like, why was it needed?
Well, it's called a huge class revamp, but a lot of the classes didn't get revamped as such. I mean, some of them did, but not as many as people think. Yeah, most of it is kind of in line with the usual expansion updates. There are some that have had more than others, obviously. Like I said, the biggest surprise that came out for me from BlizzCon entirely was the talent system. Because, I mean, before they said, look, we've revamped the entire talent system, most of us was thinking the artifacts are going to be the Legion talent system. And that's it. And they're going to leave the talents alone. And then they were like, no, we've done talents as well. It's like, what? Really? Yeah. That's insane. Like, we've got hundreds of new talents going in there. But are they just going to be passives and cooldowns?
Not to mention that they didn't talk about the whole PvP and PvE separation of talents as well. So that should give them some more freedom to...
adventure mode. I assume they're not finished, right? So they can't really talk about it.
No, it's still part of it, though, thankfully. Like, the PvP thing is still part of it. You just didn't talk about it. So, yeah, I'm very interested because it should give them more freedom to tinker around with both aspects of the game. I'm not going to go off topic here with PvP, but carry on.
No, you're totally right. We had to get that. We got that confirmed from Brian Halinka on our tour because we were like, he didn't talk about this at all. Is the talent system still going to be separated? And he's like, yep, that's still there, but we didn't really do anything else since Gamescom, so we already have a huge separation in talents. So for PvEers, we have like basically brand new talent trees for every spec. They're also going to be kind of defining more so that when you switch between, for me, for enhancement and elemental, I don't switch one button. Like, it's actually going to change like entire rows to be enhancements. These are their talents. Elemental, these are their talents, right? So for Fury and Arms War, you'll have different talents for both now, and not just both choose Dragon's Roar, right? You're going to have different options. We'll have to see, because on average, if they say we have over 100 new talents, each spec gets like 3 to 5, relatively. So we'll have to see. It's scary, though. It's a lot of stuff. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, I hope they're not like overreaching here, because a lot of things.
There is, but only time will tell.
Right.
Like, I like that I got a better feeling about this one than I had with Warlords of the Draenor, because if you remember the conversation we had back then, when I told you I was looking for my presents and they weren't announced, like there were quality of life things, but just not the presents. This time I got a feeling like my Christmas tree is full and I got all these new things to look forward to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
If it all makes it in, of course.
What are the new things?
We're at a strange stage. We probably could do another show in probably four months' time, something like that.
Oh.
Where we would just be like, okay, this is amazing. This is fantastic.
Are you looking at my schedule, Preacher? Are you on my?
I'm just saying, we're in a strange place right now where we just know like Nobbel said, like the tree has arrived, but we know the presents are coming and the lights are going to go up it and all that kind of stuff. That's coming, and we're excited for it because we know it's coming.
Right.
But we're still in the back of our heads. Maybe it's not going to be great, but everything so far seems to point to a good thing.
Fingers crossed, man.
Except this next point that I'm going to bring up now.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
This is the only like weird thing. I hope it's tied to class order halls and it's like something you do and you want to go do it yourself, and it's something eventually you get this cool loot reward at the end of this like new quest line or grindy thing that you do, because they've confirmed that some of these will be BOE, but most are BOP. What do you guys feel of the new Legendaries, which are going to have
clever.
The new Legendaries in the world that aren't like huge stat upgrades, but they have the cool new affixes, like Diablo affixes. Like when you're enraged, you move 30% faster or something ridiculous like that, right? You know, the Warlock one was like your agony or corruption has a chance to tick for its full damage on each tick, but then still keep going normally. Like these are
the prop
huge.
One's amazing.
Right.
It's like every avenging shield hit reduces the cooldown. But they said these are not confirmed, so we really have to put that in front of everything. It's like these are just test things.
Are you...
Nobbel first. I'm interested from Nobbel's point of view rather than a Raider's point of view.
Because for you and me, we're just like, okay.
Nobbel, we were like...
Yeah. What do you think?
I was actually, I was looking at this during the presentation as well, and actually tweeted about this and was called out on it. Like my first initial reaction to the whole legendary in the open world, and it's not so much about the stats or what's going to influence. The way they presented it was, remember back in the day where you could find rare epics in the world? Now you're going to get that with legendaries. And I was more about the whole color scheme thing. I was like, yeah, it's cool and all that we can find random legendaries, but doesn't that kind of devalue it? But a lot of people came back to me like, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's going to be extremely rare, and it's not going to be like that. But still, to me, it felt like the whole color scheme should get an upgrade at some point. Like, just make everything blue again and epic again, and then really make legendary. Besides that, like the whole stats thing, that's your area. You know, if you want me to tell you the story behind a certain legendary, then you can call me, but... Yeah.
I'm more interested in your idea of would you go out and farm these things? Because there's a system in place where you can sort of point to where they're going to be. But
it's going to be like the epics from Classic, right? Like there was also in Classic, you had like this stuff you could find at Unguro, but you had to kill like 1 million dinosaurs in order for it to drop. Like,
yeah, I
brought
the Skullflame Shield, which is the Ogres and Deadwind Pass, I believe.
That's what it sounds like they want to bring back.
So then there is no point to farming it, because there were those crazy enough to spend like 24/7 trying to farm it, and they might get lucky. But that's the thing, it's all about luck. Like, if I kill one dinosaur, I could also pick it up. So I don't think I'll be farming those, no.
Didn't he say they want you to go out and try and get these things? I need to find it.
Because
I'm sure that quote exists.
Lewis told me in the dev interview that each spec might really want one, but there could be multiple that are good for you. The issue is, from your and my perspective, Preach, like, if there is one that, like, all of a sudden makes, you know, Wind Fury punch like a semi-truck, I need it, right? Like, it's like required, right? So we'll have to like grind it off, or I hope it's going to be something that help like your new followers in your class hall, like help you like unlock the area, and then you find these mobs and it's only for you, and you can like go out there and do it yourself, and it's like it's all part of your story, and not just like, as chat room is probably catching up to it, like, you know, just botting it and just farm the area and kill all the spawns.
There's so many ways of making this not what we think it is.
Correct.
Well, Trekkie mentions here that there was supposed to be some way to favor your odds, so maybe you can unlock that
that's
with
what
your
I'm
class
looking
halls.
for, the quote. And they want you to go out and find them. That's important. It's not a case of they're out there and you'll never have a chance. They want you to go and get them. Yeah, so that's why I went, because if it was just a ludicrously low item level, I don't care, right? But if there's ways of pushing yourself towards it,
right, then
you kind of feel compelled, and they do, as much as some people say, well, you don't have to. You do feel compelled as a raider to go and get those things, especially if they're as powerful as they seem.
The whole game's scales, so it wouldn't be low item level, because you'd be going out and farming them at max level at 110, so when it drops for you, it'll be level, you know, whatever is comparable to like heroic dungeons right there. And
well, they said it'd be the best item in game. That was their quote.
Correct. Yeah. So
like, but then it falls back under something that you can do if you want it, and for some people will feel forced. But I'm all up for things to do, man. If I can increase my chance to send my followers away and they come back with a treasure map in this general area, it's going to drop.
Right.
Then yeah, I'm all for that, man. That's something to do.
I said, why not have it where you can mix in with tertiary professions? Like, you get a treasure map, then you need to go and do an artifact in that area, you know? You need to go and do archaeology in that area. Maybe you discover something there, which increases your odds of getting it to happen.
Yeah.
And you could keep working through it using something that's accessible by everybody. I think that would be fine, even if that takes a much longer time, but almost not guarantees it, but drastically increases your odds of being able to find it.
I mean,
I'd be fine with that. And I'm also fine with casuals getting it. That's cool, man. They get when that legendary drops in the open world, you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, what if it's part of the new adventure mode?
Potentially, but they didn't say that, so we were guessing.
That comes down to luck, though, because even though you can increase your chances to like 95%, there's still the 5% chance that it will never drop for you. And people will be like, oh man, I just used my bonus roll for the 50th time and I still didn't get any loot.
Yeah.
So I wonder how people react to it. And as you said, like, if you're out there in the world and it suddenly drops for you, and you're like, oh my god, guys, look, I got this legendary. How does that compute with the increase your chances and then still not getting it? Like, how salty are you going to be? Like, I spend days getting my chances up to 95% because you don't want to make it 100. You want to make it rare. You want to make it spontaneous, right? Not something you can actually go out and 100% collect.
I'm okay with that, honestly. I don't have a problem with that.
But then it would be a legendary quest line again.
Right.
I was hoping they just wouldn't bring legendaries in at all.
Yeah.
But another side of this, though, and I don't know how other people feel, but the fact that the affixes that go with it aren't just straight boring boosts.
No.
I mean, I suggested that. I was like, thank you. Because getting like 10 crit, is so boring.
Right.
Give me stuff that does something different that isn't just like gemming some ridiculously boring stat that is obviously what you're going to gem it for. You know, these things just aren't interesting in any way, shape, or form. Give me set bonuses. I'm much happy with Diablo 3 style bonuses. Much happier than boring static bonuses.
No, you're totally right. They're very interesting, and they're almost like small versions of your artifact hooks.
Yep.
So, but I don't know, because when Lewis told me that they're going to be able to, like, you might want one, but you could have multiple, I'm just like, oh, because not only do we have to like do all the artifact grinding and the artifact unlocks and the relic stuff there, but also like if there's like 2 or 3 world-ish drop legendaries I also need to be like top effectiveness. That's cool and very rewarding to do, but the time commitment it might take is going to just be...
And from a casual point of view, I'm very happy about that. And I'm sorry for raiders out there.
Exactly.
I just love that there's like a big plan for me. That goes back to the question we covered earlier with the artifact system. I love that there's this weapon I can unlock. I can spend my time on it if I want to.
Right.
But I can understand that for a raider's point of view, if you're competitive and this legendary is going to make a difference between a kill or not, you're going to be upset.
I'm with you, Nobbel. I'm fine. I think for players who aren't as engrossed in the game as we are, that moment where you kill a boar or whatever it might be, and this thing appears in your loot table. It's the same as when if you're a raid leader or you're farming the Warglaives, when you click Illidan and then it's there at the bottom of the loot table. That feeling is almost unmatched in WoW, and I'm more than happy that people get that. But I'd prefer if there wasn't a way to push you towards getting it. I'd be happy if it was just a really rare drop. I think that'd be better, because then I could leave it alone. I wouldn't have to think about it. If I get it, great. I can't farm it.
If they keep the stats in a way that it doesn't matter so much for like raiding competitive, that would be a perfect situation, right? Like random job chance.
Because I mean, we're going to talk about professions. I don't think so, but maybe later. The profession system's really enhanced now. I would love very master blacksmiths to be able to do something with these affixes and add them to items that you've acquired. Right. Very expensive, obviously. Very consuming. Requires somebody who's invested most of their game time into blacksmithing or whatever it is. But you can do that. That's another option. Options is all I'm aiming for every time in the game.
Exactly.
Right. I really wonder how far they're going to take, because once they announced, which I'm going to call it the mode of life system, which if you've played Destiny, you know what these 3 words mean, which is what it's going to be in Legion is Obliterum. So I wonder how far they're going to take this system, because it's not just DEing a thing into a shard. Obliterum is like a material you can use then to upgrade gear or use it in crafting further along the line. And I hope that gets expanded upon, so you can like roll your old gear into your new gear, or use old things you don't need anymore into these legendary items, something like that, or your artifact weapon, because that's like, it helps roll your system. So you're not just like, well, it's all my old shit. Oh, it's all whatever vendor, click, 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 it's all gone. So I hope it feels like you can reuse it and move forward with the new profession system and crafted gear and upgrading things. So
the new profession system is something I'm just so hyped about for other people. I think that is because there's no. I mean, I say that from I know so many people who don't care about raiding.
Right.
They don't even care about doing the casual stuff. But if you give them something to progress on, that's something where they can add to the community, they'll be all over it, and they absolutely love doing that stuff. And they will be more than happy to be a server's master blacksmith or a master tailor.
Yeah.
And find communities where they can be a part of that. and be known for it as well, because they don't want to raid. They know, for whatever reason, and they don't want to do PvP. This gives them an entirely different progression path. Hopefully, from the description we've got, it does. And I'm really happy for those guys.
Alrighty.
What you mentioned about options, that's why I'm so happy with the whole keystone system that going on for like better rewards. And they even mentioned or dropped like it could be near rating level. Like for people that really like to do dungeons and find challenge there, like options, something to do. And I'm really, really hoping that it's going to deliver in that department. Like what we saw with Warlords, like rating was excellent. I don't think a lot of people really hated the rating scene, but the extra stuff is why people are so salty. And I hope Legion is going to pick up on that.
Right.
Yeah, the world is where it needed all the attention.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, next question. So this is to Preach and Nobbel. This is going to be another two-parter. So I'll do Preach first. This is from it's Kenneth Rend or Kenneth Rend, I think. I should have pronounced all these names before, but some of them are kind of but since we know how the other tanks will play out, granted how they play now or how the tanks are going to be looking at in the previews, what type or style would you like to see the Demonhunter Vengeance tank use and utilize, Preach? From a tank point of view, what do you think?
How absurd can I go with this? Because I know how I want it to
Go
work.
nuts.
All right, I based the entire Demonhunter tanking system on the Sandman from Spider-Man. And what happens is he can morph various parts of his body into big, solid demon stuff with a very thick hide, and he blocks in that manner. That's what I'd like to see happen. I think it's going to be heavily avoidance-based, though.
I hope not, because their bodies are like, bam, I'm there.
Yeah, I want them to go big and do demon stuff, like close wings almost for a shield wall or whatever. Wrap themselves up.
Like Kill Jaden in the Sunwell. Yeah, man, that would be cool.
That's what I'm talking about, Nobbel. We're on the same page today. That's what I'm aiming for.
Chat room already said we're agreeing on way too many stuff, so yeah.
Knock it off! Knock it off!
Yeah, you basically turn yourself into some sort of like demon stone with thick.
Because they have glaives, but they're war blades. They don't have war glaives.
They're huge as well on the graphics.
Yeah, they're like
they wrap around the back.
Yeah, they're gigantic, but they don't have the blade in the front. They're just underneath the arm, right? So
yeah.
I wonder how that will integrate into them, because when they showed their metamorphosis form as the Vengeance tank, they didn't have weapons. It could have had the models then, but too. But what if like their weapons are discarded and they're just like this giant wall of just like fell flesh and like what you said too? Yeah, I don't know. Because avoiding things would be kind of...
I hope it's so cool.
All right.
Graphically. I mean, tanking comes down to basically the same sort of things, right? I mean, ultimately, it might work slightly differently resource-wise, but it's a similar sort of method. Right. I just hope it's visually very cool.
Sure.
That's all I hope for with the new tank stuff.
And hopefully, since the whole Demonhunter, the DPS spec is all about like moving around, jumping around, getting people in front of you, hopefully the tank will be exact opposite of that, like just a wall of demonic power.
That's why I'm basing on the avoidance, because that mobility is so extreme. They are so incredibly agile that I hope that the tanking is big, brutish, but not like the new Druid, which is just a big meat sack.
Yeah,
I hope it does something very cool with it.
And somebody mentioned the whole parry system. What do you think about that? If it's based on parry.
I need to see it. I mean, traditionally, it's not made too much of a difference, honestly. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'd need to test. And then they're not doing a Demonhunter preview like I'd kind of hoped. So they did the streaming stuff, but they didn't give you any abilities and didn't even let you play the tanking stuff, as far as I know.
No, tanking wasn't available yet. Nope.
Yeah, so it's very much still under wraps as to how they're going to do it. So I'm interested. I wouldn't expect anything super crazy. Honestly, I really wouldn't. But I just hope the main thing I think you should aim for is really cool animations, and if you can get behind that, you'll be okay.
Well, I can confirm that playing Havoc at the Alpha build, and same thing with Nobbel, like it's all custom. Like the way they swing their glaives, and even like just how like their animations work, they're all new. So
it can make such a huge difference. You look at Light's Hammer on a Paladin. I mean, it's basically like a different Consecrate, essentially, for all intents and worth. But it looks so much better that every time you throw it, you're so excited to lob it down and see all the lightning shooting out of it. And execution sentence the same. That's what I want, is my abilities to... You could get away with pretty similar gameplay across all the tanks as long as what they do is very cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for with the Demonhunter. Is I expect it to be very flashy. I mean, what we've seen so far of the DPS spec looks that way.
Right.
So I hope the tank follows suit.
Fair enough. I just wanted to cap that off with your side of the things for, I guess, the Demonhunter class, Nobbel, if you want to roll that up. I'm going to skip the next question and a half here, but yes. So anything to add on what you hope for Demonhunters? Because you get to play a little bit at the Alpha build.
You mean the second half of the story, right, for the Demonhunters?
Right, yeah. What do you hope to see for the Demonhunter stuff in their starting zone?
In their starting zone?
Is it starting zone or after that? I guess where there's
After starting zone, like what we got right now, what we got to play at BlizzCon was the whole Mardoon bit, where you go in and try to get the key of the Sargerai key, and then we're gonna be imprisoned, and then you're gonna wake up again 10 years later, and apparently, which was new information, the Legion is actually gonna attack the Vault of the Wardens. So what I'm hoping to see is like you're in a dire situation, the walls are crumbling around you, demons are everywhere, and you and your demon companions need to fight your way out of there. These are your mortal enemies. You're confused. You're like, what the frick's going on? So you fight your way out of there, only to find the world burning. You're like, what? Okay, this is cool. And then you can meet up with the factions, like the Islands, the Alliance, or the Horde. And you go against the Legion, and that's how you're going to go flow into that one. But yeah, pretty much what they said, like, it is the dire hour of Azeroth, like the biggest Legion invasion we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we need to wield the power of the enemies against them. And that's all what the Demonhunter is about. Like, you see that in the starting area as well. You kill a demon, and then you absorb its powers, and you teach the other demon hunters how to use these powers you obtained. And then one guy is so weak that he can't handle it, and he explodes. Spoiler alert. It's so freaking cool.
Right. So, just as honorable mention, I will say that Mary Moo Cow, your question came in, but it's mostly at me. Since I'm going to be doing a lot of beta testing once it comes available for basically every class and spec, and so will Preacher. You can definitely poke either of us for like really in-depth theory class stuff. Like I stream, he streams, he makes videos. He makes videos more than I do, so either one of us.
Yeah, I won't be streaming. It's very unlikely I'll be streaming Legion.
Yeah, you'll make videos of it, and I'll be streaming it. So between the two of us, whenever it comes live.
Okay. No, probably not.
Oh, right. But you can ask us those kind of questions once those things come up, right? Once we get into the nitty gritty of that, because it's a little bit too early to say. So yeah, if I have time for this last Nobbel question, I'll ask it. But Nobbel wanted me to punch forward here real quick. This is a double question.
I was just suggesting it like you want to ask him.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Go for Preach. It's Preach's turn.
I mean, we're at well, the two-parter. I can do the two-parter, yeah, and then I'll go back. So, this is from Rolo. How many raid tiers would you want to see in Legion? Preach.
More than one. We're getting two. So, we're getting two initially.
Well, so one tier, but two raids, I would assume?
Yeah, I would like 3 tiers. Does that make sense? 3 tiers, it doesn't matter if they break that up into a couple of raids or whatever.
Oh, right. Well, I think Ian went over
we could do with another tier, like for WoD, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, we had 2 tiers this time. I would like 3. I think I'm hoping they're giving up on this 1-year deal that they can't possibly meet. So I'd rather just set it for 3. Yeah, this self-imposed restriction they put on themselves.
Well, didn't
we? Thankfully, they did mention that they're going to put quality above quantity. I like that they said that, and I hope they're going to live up to that as well.
Right.
Like I don't really care about the whole year release as long as just.
I don't know where that came from. It's just like we're going to make 1-year expansions. Why? Nobody asked for that.
Yeah.
And it clearly doesn't work. You've never been able to meet it, and it's just been a detriment so far. From what we could tell, not to be a Blizz hater, but it's never worked. So please stop doing that.
Right.
And just plan for the future.
That's fair. All right. This will also come back right to you, Preacher. I'm sure you'll want to weigh in on this. But who or what? I like that when it came in on the email. Who or what? Because it could be a what. Do you think will be the final raid boss of Legion Nobbel?
I had to actually give a little bit of thought to this. Some say the Titan Sargeras, but I really hope not. Sargeras has been described as such an uber guy that fighting him, like stabbing his little toes, and then everybody's like, move away, it's not going to be fun. Azora is an option, but I'm hoping that they're going to save Azora for a next expansion. My guess right now would be a powered up Kill Jaden. Like we've seen Kill Jaden in the Sunwell halfway through the portal. This time we're going to face him in his full might. And I see Preacher draw a face, but I got other options, Preacher. Hang on.
Oh, I'm fine.
Old God Nazaf could be with the whole Emerald Dream thing, or, and this actually they hinted this at during the panels, is that somebody asked, like, is the Avatar Sargeras still in the Tomb of Sargeras? And they said, nope, not at the start. So maybe Avatar Sargeras could also be a really cool option. So those will be my 3 option suggestions right there.
I vote Archimond.
No, Archimond
again?
Yeah, he's back.
Mexican, yeah. And he's called Archimond.
The revengeing.
Don Archimonde was only a setback.
Oh gosh, the Archimonde. I mean, what do you think,
It's
Preacher?
a demonic fell mustache, and there's no way you can beat it.
Mustache.
Mustache. Oh, I'll grab the GIF right now. What do you think, though, Preach? Stephen, to weigh in on? Because it'll be fun. I like asking these kind of questions because, like, a year and a half, 2 years from now,
know any of the answers to these questions.
Well, that's not the reason.
They're probably from a book that I haven't read.
Oh goodness!
No, but like,
I
what
believe
boss,
it will definitely be Cerberus's tail, based on the success of the Deathwing encounter. We've extended that so you fight just Cerberus's tail if he has a tail.
But like, what mechanics would you like to see then, Preach? Like, is there ever been a dream design boss that would you like to see? Like a gong and everybody loses their health through, and zombie dragons, or is there
all
anything?
Kinds. Yeah, there's a reason I
like
was waiting. So you want me to list my favorite bosses or what?
No, just
one of
like
my favorite bosses of all time, but a very simple mechanic, was the second boss in Heroic Shadow Labs in TBC, where he just screamed "time for fun." And he mind controlled everybody, and it was just chaos.
That big ogre.
And if you survived, you were like, "Thank the Lord!" But you sometimes, because you're in that mind control for ages, and you would be the healer, and you would just see your rogue friend turn to you and chase you down and beat you down, and it was hilarious because it was just so fun and so hard at the same time. That boss was particularly difficult when it first launched, and also fights like Kael'thas, which were a dream come true for a raider for me.
How come?
Kael'thas Sunstrider, it's one of the best design bosses I've ever faced in my life.
Yeah, but why?
It was long, but it wasn't... after it was fixed, I should say. Phase 1 was really long at the launch, but they fixed that. But he had so many different phases, and the raid, it was so big that the raid was splitting into... I love fights where the raid splits into multiple duties, where you're off doing things. You're not all sort of tunnel into one thing. So we had groups go off and deal with the caster, and then you had other people who were dealing with the fear boss, and you had another guy who was dealing with this guy's a wing, and then you came back, and then he raises up and he shatters the ceiling, and it just goes on into this huge epic encounter that's so fun. So fun. But it has rest periods in it as well. It's not just intense for 10, 15 minutes.
And what about something like Classic Nefarian, where he used your abilities against you? Would you like to see something like that again?
Yep.
I love that fight, man. Okay, so if we combine those three things together, we got Preach's End Fight for Legion. There you go.
Everyone remembers getting to 40% on Nefarian, and you knew it was coming. You knew those skeletons were coming, and those mages are dying one hit, and you're like, just please survive.
I mean, that was one of the really important questions asked in the Q&A, was that if Nefarian's going to have a Demonhunter call added in.
Yeah, and he's going to
They confirmed it. Yep, they confirmed it. I mean, that was like a throw out there, but who knows? It could be that. That'd be funny.
I love that fight, man. As a hunter, where you would instantly break your weapon if you messed up. Oh, it was so good. Just so good.
No, it was
unless you were raid leading.
True.
And then you were seriously mad at your hunters.
Yes.
And everybody turned into Ross, like everywhere. I love that fight.
Please unequip your bows. Please. I didn't. I'm sorry.
I didn't. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness.
I'll hit him with my weapon now. Oh, look, there's Legion. I can actually hit him with my weapon now. Yay.
Yeah, I don't mind overly long fights as long as they change. Nothing like Imperator Margok. Ugh.
Oh, I'm about to say the exact same thing. Yeah, Imperator was like 8 minutes to get to the actual fight.
Exactly, and it's like, oh, let's do the same fight that we did in Heroic for 8 minutes.
That was so much fun. Yeah.
Please.
It needed like 2 less intermissions, and then it would have been pretty good.
Yeah, but then you have fights like Lady Vash, which were just tremendous. Every single time.
Absolutely. And it's weird looking at the fights that were actually like iconically more fun, actually were a whole lot less complex. Because Blizzard
I think Muru is the ultimate testament of that. The worst boss I ever faced in my entire life.
It's because right now
so hyped.
Blizzard loves this like high octane nonsense. There's like 50 different mechanics over the course of a fight. Whereas like back in the day,
I think that's game limitation more than anything.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think I mean, I hope not, but it feels a lot like game limitation in terms of how much extra stuff they can put in.
I hope it limits them soon, because we don't need more and more and more and more abilities. But looking back at like Heroic Lich King, like Arthas, he didn't do much. And he was still hard as hell. So, yeah, I think they can...
not boring.
Not boring at all. No, don't touch the defile, though, damn it. Get off the defile. All right. So we'll go back with this other question here to Nobbel from Calidus. What are your hopes, expectations? I put in dreams for the storylines involving Alleria and Tyralion in Legion, and how do you think they'll fit into the world of Warcraft once the expansion has concluded?
Right at the get-go, very hard to say. I speculate a little bit about this at the end of my Demonhunter video, about how they could possibly introduce Alleria and Tyralion with the whole twisting nether, transcending all realities, and finding like an arrow of Alleria in alternate Draenor, and why that would all happen. but that's just a fan theory. How she's going to be introduced, it's very hard to say. I was talking about this yesterday. We're going to get her bow, but how exactly is she going to hand over her bow? Are we going to find it in the Twisty Nether? Is it going to be found somewhere in the world? Is she going to show up at the Hunter Hall and be like, sup, I'm back, here's my bow? We have no idea. And then, once he's actually there, like, how do you follow up that storyline? Because you have to imagine, Preach, like, these guys were, before the whole Thrall Horde, these guys were part of the alliance with the Old Horde, like an alien force invading their planet. These guys, especially Alleria, hated the orcs. Tyralion was a little bit more level-headed, but she hated them. How do you introduce those characters? Now she's gonna give him her bow. So how are you gonna introduce these characters?
You guys are okay.
Yeah, right? It's all forgiven. So
it's all forgiven. What? You just went back in time and killed how many people? Okay, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna introduce these characters of old in a world that's completely changed? How are they gonna deal with these hatreds? What kind of events happened? Is it gonna be a situation like, okay, we know you're like orcs, but there's such an evil out there that we discovered in the years that we've gone missing. We need your help. Here's my bow. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to be introduced. Not to mention Sylvana's reaction to her older sister returning and people running around with her older sister's bow. Like, why do you have Alleria's bow? That's my family bow. What the frick? So I'm very, very curious how that's going to happen. Not to mention Tyralion, because a lot of focus on Alleria right now. Tyralion was this uber paladin, like one of the better ones ever out there. It's hard to say how it's all going to go down, but I'm very excited, as you can tell.
Are you excited, Nobbel? I'm not sure we can tell.
Nope.
Are you sure?
I'm very aroused.
That's the wrong. That's the wrong explanation. Oh my.
I mean, the artifact weapons are such a big deal. I like it.
They are absolutely.
They are amazing.
So alrighty, I put this last little bit of time here. We still have a little bit of time left. We have about, I don't know, 8 minutes or so before I know we're almost at the 2-hour mark here. So I put the guest soapbox as the Nobbler is preached, which let the erotic friend fiction begin.
Oh my.
So I'll go to you first, Preach. Do you want to talk about anything we've missed or rant and rave about whatever you'd like to?
I want to bring up the little features that aren't getting enough spotlight.
Go for it. Absolutely.
The introduction of them little cutscenes at the bottom of the game when you get a story quest is the best thing I've seen in ages. Because as somebody who isn't going to read all the quest text, those little Warcraft 3 style pop-ups, I think are awesome. Yeah. When I saw them at the Demonhunter thing, I was like, that's great. That's so simple, and it adds so much more weight to what I'm doing. Because I've got to the habit now of WoW, when I play in quest, I literally just click the quest, collect 15 things, and off I go. Instead of it adding some sort of, just a little tiny blurb of story to what's going on and giving you the idea you're on a mission. I hope that applies throughout the entire game. I really do. I love that
thing. Too. But that said, if you really pick up your quest fast, like a bit in the Demonhunter area, like a lot of people want to talk to you, and they'll simply override whatever they're saying, so you're still missing half of it. That's a little bit of a shame.
Okay. Well, that's better than stacking up, I suppose.
True, but if you don't know what we're talking about, there's like, if you accept the quest this time, there's like the normal quest text, and then the NPC giving it to you will give you a little bit of extra information related to it, which is just brilliant. There's a lot of voice acting. They said it's going to be the most voice acting ever in this expansion. And if they could draw this system over the entire game, like we got an add-on going around right now that improves the quest UI. You got like NPCs talking to each other, and it's now scrolling. If they could make like this voice acting all across the board, oh man, it would be beautiful.
Well, basing it on each zone's going to have a huge story, right? That leads to the dungeon. That's the way they're going to do it. So those quests, I hope, will have this dialogue. Not every quest. I wouldn't expect that of them at this stage. But it's nice. It's like a leaf out of Star Wars' book. Let's just make this bit a little bit better. Oh, go on. Sorry, I got another one.
No, I was going to say, I think...
flex leveling, though, as well.
That's what I was going to say, flex leveling.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. Preach, we need to get off this level, man. We need to start beefing right here. Come on, now.
Yeah, I hate you. But level with me, because we can do it any time we want, man.
That's true.
In any zone you want to start. Oh, it's so freaking cool.
I know.
Everything's going to scale.
Or anything's so good.
You can tell whatever storyline you want to do, you can explore it. Now, there is the limitation of, like, if you're halfway through a quest, then your friend can't just pick up the quest like the old days. But if you want to do a new zone together, just grab your friends.
Yeah, like I say, Ghosty has to work that day because he's a noob and hasn't booked it off. So I don't have to wait for him to level because it's not a case of I'm already in Gorgrond, so we can't level together now,
Right.
And even later down the line, it's just like, you want to roll alts? Yeah, I've got one who's 102. Cool, let's go together. There's no worries there. Oh, such a good system, and I love the fact that they didn't do it all the way through. So Suramar will probably finish up and prepare the story. Yeah.
And they're gonna be like scary NPCs running around again, right?
The world should like Fel Reavers, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna have maybe in every zone. I'm unsure, but I would imagine they're gonna have
I know
something like that
Sudamar
back.
has it, but I don't know if every zone has them.
Right. I mean, we need sea monsters, right? Though that's what we really need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be the scaling zone is awesome, which we touched on a little bit earlier because of the new legendary nonsense. Because what if you get one when you're leveling by chance, and then like it's gonna be level like 104? That would suck. So I wonder if it's gonna change. But what you said about the quest dialogue pop-ups and stuff like that, but your other point, it's amazing. I think only certain quests are going to have it. But what I experienced too, just playing, which I don't know if it's only in the Demonhunter area, but because they said a whole lot of more VO is being done with the game, like just mobs talked to you, like enemy mobs, like just say stuff as you aggro them. Like it's so different than like pulling 17 guys and none of them say anything because it's like, oh, he's gonna kill me. But like in Legion now, they'll all like aggro talk to you, and that little change, that little bit extra, is just like, oh, I'm actually doing this. Like
immersion.
Well, I haven't
and
played with sound for ages, so I'm sure I'm not the only one because they don't. I can hear myself doing attack animations most of the time.
Right, exactly.
And that's about it. So I have no reason to really have game sound on at all, which I know I miss out on a lot of things because of that. But by the time I've done it for a couple of hours, I forget to turn it back on. So I'm really happy I have a reason to have it on regularly.
You can tell that they're really pushing forward the whole storytelling. Each and every expansion is getting better and better, and the in-game cinematics are picking up. And it's awesome to see how more and more people get actually immersed into the game like this. Speaking of the Demonhunter starting area, by the way, did you check out the spectral site that the Demonhunters have with like big bosses that are half under the world? You can see now actually their lower body, which is really cool. There was this big imp mother, and you can only see her top because it's it's above water, but you could actually see the whole model underneath as well. I thought was amazing.
Interesting. Yeah, spectral sight's weird and cool.
It has no cooldown on the.
It's a toggle on, toggle off. You get snared when you're in it.
But they're removing that though.
I hope so.
Some of it. It looked like there was a little less when you did it on live version. The gameplay they showed, you were like, I'm barely moving. But yeah, but like you're not gonna stay in it the whole time because there has to be some drawback. Otherwise, you always have it toggled on. So it looks neat though. As there's a lot of weird things that I hope doesn't like break the game for PvE or like rating because of this kind of stuff.
We're still early.
Right.
You can always iron it out later.
I hope there's like one reason to actually have it in a raid. That'd be awesome. But then hopefully that doesn't impact too hard. I mean,
but then you'll be required to bring a Demonhunter again. Otherwise, you can't see like an ability coming or something like that.
Well, right.
To ruin the casual experience, Bay.
Oh, damn it! I know.
Well, not just the casual experience. I imagine that it would suck for a raid team to be forced to take a certain class, right?
We've already been forced.
Or is that no
for
problem
years.
anymore?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Do you have 2 Death Knights in your raid? If not, don't raid Mythic Hellfire Citadel.
Yeah, but I want to move away from that, right? They want to give you freedom in that, or is it just the situation that it is?
In Mythic, it's expected, and I think that's
in Mythic, it's expected.
Oh, okay.
Which is
that's
fine.
Why it's just a set amount of people.
Right. You put in Skype here real quick the Transmog system. You wanted to nerd about that real quick?
I'm not overly excited about the Transmog system, but my entire audience is because we do a Transmog competition.
You do.
And the new Transmog system is just amazingly good.
Yeah, it is.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd, by the way? Everybody was like,
yes, that was the first thing they cheered for. That blew my mind.
And then like a transmog system. Oh my god, yes, inventory space. And I was like, what the frick's going on? And everybody just wake up. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That was really funny.
No, they went pants on head, retarded in a good way. They definitely did. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best thing they heard. So I'm really happy for everybody who's really into it. That's cool. Yeah. So cool.
And old quest added to it. That's brilliant. Like old quests you've done before, you don't have to back for it. Like tabs where you can find gear, sets that you share with people. Wow.
How do they have the background scan to go back through all the expansion databases and go like, oh, he did all these quests. Give him all this gear.
I assume that's the same system that they use to see if you can pick up a quest, right? Like they
I
already
guess,
tell if you got a quest done or not.
I don't know. I got into an argument with a guy who wouldn't give me my benediction back and told me to go and do the quest again. Can't do that, man. Do you know what this item is? But yeah, I'm so hype about that stuff. So hype.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think
I'm really salty that I lost my classic account with the hunter bow. Well, not lost it.
Oh, did you?
Got rid of it. Yeah. This is like raw to listening era. Yeah, that's like I'm so jealous of those.
Yeah, that's sad. That sucks.
Anything else, gentlemen? Because I think we're about wrap time as Ghost just ruins chat again with amazingness. Oh god.
There's so much stuff we didn't mention, but I think it's still early days. Like challenge modes, we don't really know enough about it yet.
Correct.
I tried to get the information out there, but it's so vague right now.
They're greater rifty. What was confirmed though in a blue tweet was that mythic raid gear will still always be better than anything you can achieve in the game. Like that's the highest pinnacle of gear. So you can't get mythic raid gear from challenge mode dungeons, even at like rank 20 or whatever. But the side caveat to that is that we might have to farm them before raids come out for extra gear, which I hope.
Yeah, that was my big worry as well. Is there limitations on exactly how many times we can run these?
Correct. I wonder if they're weekly. Like each one might be weekly.
Oh, and there's so many questions that it's difficult to talk about.
Right.
Because you're talking either 10 dungeons a week or 100. And that's...
Which is fine. Bring dungeons back, but like it's just makes you want to
talk about burnout.
Talk about burnout indeed. Well, gentlemen, I think we're good to go. Chat room, of course, if you have any questions for these wonderful gentlemen, or of course for Ghosty, because I mean, who are these guys? Pfft. But you can go follow them on their social media, which I will now hit the button and then proceed to plug. So thank you all for tuning in for episode number 104 of Final Boss TV, your Wild Game rating show. Today was the post-BlizzCon 2015 special. Next week, I am sitting down with three representatives from the Badge Babes. Sitting down with Fernone, Ketsu, and Fabelina, who have done lanyards and badges and art and fantastical things. We're going to talk about them, about the stats and the growth of the brand and everything else crazy they did for BlizzCon. More BlizzCon stuff with those three lovely ladies next week. But the guests today, there's Nobbel. You can go follow him on Twitter at Nobbel87. Or you can go follow him on YouTube at Nobbel87, or you can go find him on Facebook at something else.
Nobbel the Noble. Hey, I got original there.
There you go.
They wouldn't accept Nobbel87 as a name.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you can go ask all the lore questions. Do you have any? I mean, you just did the Ner'zhul Part 2 today. Do you have any more like Q&A coverage for all the artifacts and things as more stuff comes out? Do you have anything planned for that?
I got 2 more videos for Legion planned. One is going to be the general story with, like, I've done a general story of Legion, but now with the added information. And one where I want to respond to the cinematic, to the Warcraft cinematic for the movie, and some extra side notes. So those 2 are planned for Legion, then a story of Arthas and Lich King, and then we're going to hopefully flow into Legion beta coverage.
That sounds awesome to me. Thank you very much for being on the show, sir, again. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me, man. It was a lot of fun.
Preach said you guys will be back in 4 months, so you're tied to it now.
I'm booked now.
You're booked now.
Guys on 5, I confirm.
Oh my goodness. And there's Preach. Thank you for being on the show again, sir. You can find him at Preach Gaming on Twitter, or Mike Preach Wow on the YouTubes, where he posts videos and he live streams stuff when Ghost makes fun of him and they talk about stuff.
Yep.
Do you have a drama time coming up, because you didn't do one this weekend, right?
No, I didn't. I was very, very burnt out, so I didn't do it then. But yeah, there's one on Friday, and our web show is on Saturday, which will be probably heavily Transmog focused, because I'll have my co-host with me. So that should get real goofy.
Live Transmog? Like in real life?
No, there'll be no live Transmog.
Damn it! The props, though!
Yeah,
Jeez.
oh, the props will be there. It should just be a lot of goofy fun. Not as detailed as this kind of stuff, not as needed.
Very awesome. Well, thank you all so much for both being here. I appreciate your time. And 4 months from now, I guess I'll see you again.
We didn't talk about the movie. I feel like we'd let everybody down. Green Moses needs his time in the sun.
It's his own thing.
It's his own day. Thank you all so much for being here. Of course, if you've missed the episode, it'll be on YouTube tomorrow, or on iTunes and Stitcher if you want the audio-only version. I don't know what else to say. Badge Babes next week. People are talking about why don't I do some PvP spotlights. I may be sitting down with Bajira in the future. Probably got a show with Tally coming up as well, so stay tuned for details on that as well. Those are Christmas time specials, so stay tuned for those. We'll see you all in the YouTube comments and wherever else on the internet that we see you. And thank you all so much for being here. And until next time, guys, trusting your Seal of Inevitable Gold. Have fun with your Valor upgrade starting Tuesday when the patch comes out. Yay! Until next time, guys. See ya! Bye-bye! Wave bye at the nice people! Tell them to have fun with their Valor upgrades.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Bye, friend.
Go, Ghosty.
Mwah.
Oh my god.
Your hat's itchy.